violence or no other kind of violence.
Guess what? I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police, but I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Medgar Evers, and it's a very tranquil scene compared to just a couple hours ago where a drive-by shooting just took place. Excuse me, I'm getting live updates as we speak. I've just been updated to the amount of casualties from this drive-by shooting, and I'm getting reports that 2 people were actually declared deceased and 27 others were shot and injured but are in stable condition. And although we must pray for the families of the fallen, we must also praise God for the aim of the super gremlin. If you want to know more about the victims of this crime, make sure you add BGZM News 17 on Patreon at www.patreon.com/blackgenzmindset. Also, don't forget to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment on the video to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this gun violence in the streets. For more hard-hitting news coverage from the community, by the community, I'm Jenquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
And cut.
All right, dog. Let's get the out of here before these niggas come back.
Whoa. Yo.
Whoa. Ain't that nigga J?
Nah, that ain't me. That ain't me.
He just went live.
That ain't
with
me.
That funky ass
Yeah,
suit
that's
on.
that nigga.
That's not me.
Hey, get that nigga.
Jenquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia. Pray for me. Ah!
I'll be right back. I'm gonna see if we start kicking out.
We do know that one person is in custody. We talked to the sheriff of Uvalde County, who said DPS is taking over the investigation, and we're waiting for information. I've been here about 20 minutes, and I can tell you already this is a very difficult scene out here. Let me step out of the way so you can see a little better of what we're seeing out here. Border Patrol, Uvalde City Police, Uvalde County, DPS, multiple law enforcement agencies from probably 4 different counties, surrounding counties, in addition to EMS units from Kenny County, from Medina County, from Valverde County, all these border communities coming together right here to support this community in whatever happened out here today. Once again, we are waiting for some specific details. We do know from Uvalde Police Department that the students are being transported to the Willie De Leon Civic Center to meet with their parents. We just saw those buses pull out about 5 minutes ago. You can still see there is a large law enforcement present in the back of the school. We are actually standing in the front of the school. This is as far as we can get to the scene. I can just tell from the faces out here of law enforcement, this is very difficult. It's difficult for us to stand out here, and we're still waiting to find out exactly what happened. We do see some more law enforcement, looks like DPS, Border Patrol, running into the school right now. We are not sure why. We don't know what's going on. We are standing here. Looks like that perhaps is a Sheriff Nolasco also running into the building right now. Some kind of urgency into the building, into the back of the school. Hopefully we can get some information soon. There are some parents standing out here as well, trying to figure out what happened. Most of the parents who are waiting to pick up their kids have gone to the Willie De Leon Civic Center. If you're still wondering where to pick up your child, that is where the Uvalde Police Department is telling us to go right now. Once again, Sheriff Nolasco here in Uvalde County has told us that DPS is taking over the investigation into what happened out here today. We just heard from Deborah that some were taken to San Antonio, to hospitals in San Antonio. We don't know if any more are injured, or if they were children, if they were teachers, if they were school staff, or if they were law enforcement. We just know that shooter is in police custody. Yes, Audrey, I can hear you. No, we do not. DPS also has their chopper flying above the area, circling the school, but we do not know if they are still looking for other suspects or if the one suspect they were looking for, if that was the only person that they are searching for at this time. But once again, law enforcement is surrounding this campus right now from 3 or 4 different counties. I've seen Medina County, Valverde County, Kenny County, Uvalde County. I know some individuals from San Antonio just came here. I couldn't confirm what agency they're with, as well as EMS from all the surrounding counties as well, coming out here to support this community. There are also many community members. This school is in the middle of a neighborhood here in near downtown Uvalde. Many people coming out of their homes, many people coming out here just to see what exactly is happening out here. As soon as we get more information, we will pass it on. We're hoping to find out something soon. But once again, I know that they're still gathering and the investigation and this scene is very active. For now, we're going to send it back to you, Audrey and Deb, in the studio. We're live in Uvalde. Vanessa Croykins 5. Well, Audrey and Deborah, we're still waiting for any updates that we can get out here. I can tell you it's a very active scene. We just saw, I would say, probably 20 law enforcement run into the back of the school, and multiple law enforcement agencies from Border Patrol, I believe the Uvalde County Sheriff, now Texas Game Wardens are here as well, just ran into the back of the school. We do know one person is in custody, but that is all we know. We don't know if they're looking for someone else or if they found something else inside the school. We're hoping to get information soon, but once again, this is a very active scene, a very new investigation. The suspect was taken into custody less than an hour ago. We don't know when we might get some confirmed information out here on the scene, but we can tell you what we see out here. Many community members have been lining the streets, coming back and forth. This school is in a neighborhood near downtown Uvalde. This is a very close-knit community, as well as surrounding counties out here. EMS and law enforcement from surrounding counties have reported out here. We're seeing one of those school buses go by right now. It looks like there are children inside that school bus. They're heading to the Willie De Leon Civic Center to reunite with their parents. That is a school bus full of children that just pulled out of the elementary school, headed to meet with their parents, to reunite with their parents. Once again, law enforcement is asking that parents do not come out to this scene. It is very active. They're asking to pick up your child there and to not come out here. They do have all these streets blocked off as well in this neighborhood. That is all we can tell you right now from the scene. Once again, yes, Deb.
Vanessa, so they're still evacuating children.
Yes,
an hour and a half after this all began. We have no idea whether there are any more children in the school, but we did see easily 40 police officers go running in there 10 minutes ago. Have you seen any of them come back out?
We have not, and you can see toward the back of the school. We're actually standing in the front of the school right now. It looks like some are walking out right now, but we did see them rush in with a huge amount of urgency, but we can't confirm exactly what was happening, why they were running into the school building. We do see a few walking out right now, but we haven't seen the dozens that ran in come out. And I believe that Sheriff Nalaska was one of those. He's the Uvalde County Sheriff, was running in there as well. We've heard from sheriffs in surrounding counties that they have sent law enforcement out here. Border Patrol from these surrounding border counties are also out here assisting in the scene. Vanessa. And we do know as well that DPS has taken over the investigation, so we're hoping to get some information from them as soon as we can.
Vanessa, your
background.
But I can tell you,
Deb and Audrey, this is This is a very difficult scene out here. It's difficult for me, and I'm not sure exactly what happened yet, but I can just tell from the faces of these law enforcement here, this is a very difficult scene for them to deal with. It's difficult for me to see them. I'm a former teacher, and just pulling up and knowing what these families are feeling right now is heartbreaking.
Well, Vanessa, I was going to ask you about your background. You are a former teacher. Did you have training? Did you have active shooter training when you were a teacher? What were these teachers, what do you think they were going through?
Yes, I believe that's a state. Yes, I believe that that is a state law now that schools do have to have those trainings multiple times during the school year, inside and outside of the building. We do know that the school was on lockdown for how long, we don't know. I would assume about an hour. The school was on lockdown where children were still in the classrooms. Of all the drills that I've done in my career in education, I've never had to prepare for a real situation. I can't imagine what those children, what those teachers were feeling at that time, wondering what was happening in their school building, where they usually come to school to feel safe every day. Once again, this is a very close-knit community out here. These surrounding counties are very close in this area. So I can tell you this is a very difficult situation. We will bring you as much as we can as soon as we can get some more information.
Okay, and Vanessa, walk us through what happens in a lockdown situation. I mean, the announcement goes out, what happens?
I believe that when the lockdown happens, if you are an educator, you open your door to see if there's any children outside in the hallway, if there's a bathroom near your room. You pull those students inside your classroom, whether they are registered on your roll or not, and you let a school administrator know that you have these children inside your classroom so they can account for as many children as possible in that building. They're asked to turn out the lights. Often it depends on what kind of drill, if the students need to gather in a certain area of the room, but most of the time that those teachers are with those students inside the classroom until they hear some kind of word from school administrators what's going on. Or usually, like I said, most of us are just used to drills. Most of us have never had to experience a real life situation like this. So I can just imagine the terror that those teachers were feeling, trying to protect those children in a situation that they're very uncertain and don't know what's happening outside that classroom door.
And UCISD, they are busing those children off campus from Robb Elementary School there to the Willie DeLeon Civic Center. They're not allowing parents just yet to pick up their child. They're saying they will notify parents. But Vanessa, about how long do they, have them wait for their parents there? Is that also very routine in situations like this?
I believe when we first got here, I've been out here probably about 45 minutes right now. There were many parents out here trying to pick up their children. And so we were actually just conveying that message as well, to head over to the Civic Center to pick up, to reunite with your children. We've seen probably, I would estimate, half a dozen school buses pull out in the last 20 minutes to head over there full of children. So that process has begun. I do not see any more buses down the street. When we around 20 minutes ago, down the street where all the ambulances and law enforcement are gathered, that's where all the school buses were, and it looks like they have all pulled out right now. So we don't know if there are any more students inside the building, but it looks like there are no more buses waiting to pick up children to head over there. So hopefully all those children have been reunited with their parents.
And there are 600 students that attend Robb Elementary School. It's one of two elementary schools there in UCISD. And of course, this happened at Robb Elementary School. It's the end of the school year. They were wrapping up this week.
Yes, and I saw on the Robb Elementary calendar, Thursday's the last day of school. And we have just seen a from Vanessa that other children are being treated in Uvalde at Memorial Hospital.
Yes, they are being taken there. They're asking immediate family of those students to gather in the cafeteria on the second floor, and then hospital staff will be in communication with you there. They're asking that other extended family members please do not show up, just immediate family, because they do have a big triage.
What's good, YouTube? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get into the video. All right, guys. So we got a situation here, mass shooting. Burrito Gremlin is the alleged suspect. We got a lot going on. I did want to just kind of update you guys and show you guys that live stream. Wanted to hop in here. They're pretty much, you know, this isn't one that I'm just gonna like jump in and out of because we're being updated as we speak. I will say though, the shooter is named to be an 18-year-old man named Salvador Ramos. So it sounds like this was a burrito gremlin on demon time. Okay. And this motherfucker killed 14 people. Okay. He killed the teacher. And then so they got one teacher and 14. Well, he killed 15 people, one teacher and 14 kids. God, so I don't know what's going on with these folks, okay? It's just back to back to back nowadays, you know what I mean? Like we can't get a break. So if you're watching this video, like the video, share the video. I'm going to kind of play the background to this stream here. I just had to break in for copyright copyright. But other than that, guys, we'll just watch it together.
And we have no idea how many students are there, how many were injured. We did speak with a father who showed up at the school about an hour ago. He saw the children starting to be evacuated. There, I guess another school bus has pulled up. And he said he saw several students covered in blood. So we do not know how many were injured, but students were in fact injured. We do know that from Uvalde Memorial and from University Health.
And as of now, we do not know if they are releasing children to their parents, but all of those children should have been bused to Willie DeLeon Civic Center. That's where you can go to wait until the district does release your students. Now they're taking them there so that they can account for every student there at that campus, and then they will release them to parents. And that's about 5 minutes away from Robb's school. It's off Highway 90 there in Uvalde. But if you are just joining us, around noon today is when UC ISD went into active shooter mode, and they put not only Robb Elementary School, but all of their campuses on lockdown. And then it wasn't until 1 o'clock, around 1 o'clock this afternoon, that Uvalde police did say that they did have one suspect in custody. At that time, we didn't have any immediate reports of injuries, but as of now, we do know that 2 people are being treated at University Hospital here in San Antonio, 1 adult and 1 student, and several students are also being treated there at Memorial Hospital in Uvalde.
And maybe we could go back to Vanessa and see if more students were on those buses we just saw leaving. I was just looking it up. A typical school bus can carry about 80 children, and as we've said, 600 as capacity there at Robb Elementary. Vanessa, have you seen more school buses go by?
Yes, we just saw another school bus that went by. It was very full of children actually waving at us as they were going to reunite with their parents. We do see another school bus as well parked in the front of the school. We are in the front of the school. The school bus came from the back where there is a large presence of law enforcement gathered in the back of the school. But we do see another school bus parked out front. I can't tell if they are loading up children from that school bus. We are asked not to cross any farther than we are right now to get closer to the scene. So we can't confirm if there are children loading that bus. There is a police vehicle kind of blocking our view out here. But we do know probably half a dozen, maybe more school buses have left. We've been here for almost an hour now. So we have seen many buses leave to head over with those children to reunite with their families today. And we are seeing more law enforcement report here on the scene from, once again, surrounding counties. DPS troopers are also here supporting the Uvalde Police Department. Border Patrol is here as well. Uvalde County Sheriff's Office. And I have talked to the sheriff of one of the surrounding counties who said that they have sent EMS and officers down here as well. Even on my way down here, I saw 2 Medina County Sheriff's vehicles pass me on the highway with their lights on, in addition to 2 EMS units from Medina County. So we do know that these surrounding border counties are lending every single ounce of support they can to the Uvalde community today, whatever transpired here at this elementary school today.
And we just learned Uvalde CISD just posted to their Facebook page 2 minutes ago that parents now can go and pick up their children from the Willie DeLeon Civic Center, Reunification Center. So right now parents can go and be reunited with their child.
Wow, what a relief that is. And Vanessa, did you say law enforcement are still arriving on the scene?
Yes, we do. One minute, Deborah, excuse me. Excuse me, Deborah. I thought one of the troopers was calling us over. There are multiple law enforcement agencies out here. I'm sorry, I forgot your question. I got sidetracked for one moment, but there are multiple law enforcement agencies from state troopers to Border Patrol supporting the Uvalde City Police Department and also supporting the Uvalde County Sheriff's Office out here. We are seeing a few more officers arrive as well, but we don't know, once again, if they, we're on another side of the school and they're just walking by us. We are in the front of the school on the corner of Geraldine Street, and this is as far as we can get to the scene. You can see some officers right now walking out in SWAT gear. We did see a large group of officers running in the school about 15 minutes ago, but we can't confirm exactly what they were looking for, what exactly they were doing.
Okay, and Vanessa, we've just gotten word from San Antonio Police Chief William McManus that SAPD has sent resources there to Uvalde to help in this situation.
And the other big update is that Uvalde Consolidated School Districts, they now do want parents to head over to the Willie DeLeon Civic Center. You can now pick up your students. They were all bused there from Robb Elementary School there to the Civic Center, and they are now going to start releasing them. Probably a lot of relief for those parents who have been waiting.
Right, lots of tears and just a terrifying situation. And schools due to let out on Thursday.
I can tell you, Deb and Audrey, I can tell you, Deb and Audrey, I know these communities very well in these surrounding counties out here, and they're very tight-knit communities. And I've seen many officers visually upset up here today, and I'm sure that their families and know some of these children that were inside the school today. So it's a very difficult situation for this close-knit community here in Uvalde.
Oh, say that!
When you say upset, were these officers crying?
Visibly upset, yes. I would say yes. Yes.
That is very troubling.
Absolutely.
Okay, once again, we're just going to recap for you if you are just joining us. At about noon today, we got word of a possible active shooter at an elementary school in Uvalde, and that turned out to be true. One man has been arrested. Several people have been sent to the hospital, and all the children have been evacuated. We don't know of any deaths right now, but we do know several people are at Memorial Hospital in Uvalde. An adult and a child are being seen at University Hospital here in San Antonio.
And there are multiple agencies from the surrounding areas and counties who are assisting, including San Antonio Police, who have sent resources there. You can see from this a live picture of the scene, they are all gathered there at the front of the school. Earlier, we saw deputies and officers running into the back of the school. We're still waiting to find out what that situation, how that was unfolding and what was going on there. But a lot of the community also there waiting behind that crime scene. That crime scene just really shakes you to your core. This is a very small community.
Right, and for something like this to happen. And as you can see, it is still a very active scene 2 hours after this all began. The children, 600, possibly 600 students at the school, all taken to the De Leon Civic Center there in Uvalde. And just moments ago, the Uvalde School District said parents can begin picking up their children there. And parents are also waiting at Memorial Hospital.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they sent some children or staff. We have not confirmed how many are there. They're asking that those parents go to the second floor cafeteria, and then hospital staff will then try to reunite you with those students or staff who are there, but they ask that only immediate family go to that hospital. And we also learned from University Hospital here in San Antonio, they tweeted that 2 people were transported to their hospital, an adult and 1 child are being treated there as well.
All right, guys. So I actually have a picture of Buddy here. I got a picture of him. I've just been like in the background, you know, doing some research. So we got a picture of this this dude. All right. So what do y'all think, man? I know a lot of people are going back and forth saying, "Oh, he's a glider. Oh, he's a burrito gremlin." What are we doing with this one? Who is taking the blame for this? Okay, who's taking the blame for this? And let me put in the chat right here. Hold on. I'm gonna get on my laptop, guys. Who is taking the blame? I'm gonna put a poll in there. Don't worry. Don't worry. All right. I'm gonna put a poll up. Y'all let me know what y'all think. All right. Y'all let me know what y'all think. All right, let's get this stream back up. Boom.
Things have calmed down from 30 minutes ago when we brought you the live pictures of easily 3 or 4 dozen officers running into the school, running to the back of the school in SWAT gear, carrying weapons. We don't know what is going on there, whether they're looking for another suspect, but we haven't seen anyone come out since that time.
Yes, but we do know they do have 1 suspect in custody. Uvalde police posted that to their Facebook page around 1 o'clock. This all started around noon today. But again, it's still, like you said, a very active situation, a very active scene, and they are pushing everyone back, asking everyone to stay as far back as you can from that crime scene.
And we do have 3 crews on the scene. We have been talking with Vanessa Croy, who is there at Robb Elementary School. We also have a crew on the way to the Civic Center where the students have been held and parents are picking them up. We will also have a crew at Memorial Hospital there in Uvalde where people are being treated. Of course, Uvalde about an hour and a half from San Antonio, and all of this, we just got word about 2 hours ago about this and immediately sent our crews over there.
And it's a very small town. We're told that UCISD only has 2 elementary schools. Robb Elementary is just one of them. There's only about 600 students in that school. And like you heard, there are several being treated at the hospital there. We don't know their injuries or their status at this time. And 1 adult and 1 student are being treated at University Hospital in San Antonio. But of course, parents, right now, you can be reunified with your child at Willie DeLeon Civic Center. That's on Highway 90. It's about just 5 minutes from the school.
And we have Chopper 5 headed to Uvalde right now. Now, as we've been saying, this is a close-knit community. Many of these people were born and grew up in Uvalde, a population of 16,000 people. And as Vanessa was saying, police officers and sheriff's deputies deeply upset by what they saw inside that school. No doubt they know these families, and this affects that entire community.
And we just learned that FBI is there at the scene in Uvalde at Robb Elementary. We know San Antonio police did also send support. We know Border Patrol was there, as well as many other surrounding towns and counties, their police departments and sheriff's departments, everyone just hoping to lend a hand in this terrible, terrible situation that we've been following since noon today.
And all of this happening just as school is about to let out. Robb Elementary's last day of school was supposed to be this Thursday. I can only assume that today may be the last day of school there. Mm-hmm. But right before summer break, shooter comes into the school, We don't know anything about motive, age, but we do know several people were injured, including children.
Yes. And 2 people are at University Hospital in San Antonio, 1 adult and 1 child. Also at Memorial Hospital there in Uvalde, which we have a team there. There you can see right now the FBI arriving at the scene, and they're headed there to meet Uvalde police and other departments who have been working that scene all afternoon. But we can tell you, we do know they have 1 suspect in custody. We don't know their status. We don't know male or female. All we know is that around 1 o'clock, they did report that they have 1 suspect in custody. Now, shortly after we came on air most recently, we did see a lot of deputies and police officers running to the back of the school, but we've yet to find out what that situation was.
Right. We have not seen those officers come back out, at least from our vantage point where our camera is located right now. You can see crime scene tape has been wrapped around the entire school there. The father that we spoke to earlier said he saw students being brought out the back and the side, and we have watched at least a half dozen school buses take those children away, and we now presume that all children are out of the school. But as you just saw, the FBI has arrived on the scene and are working with multiple law enforcement agencies there. Let's go back live to our reporter on the scene, Vanessa Croy.
Yes, Deborah and Audrey, I can tell you this is still a very active scene out here. We are seeing another school bus pull to the front of the school right now. We've seen probably half a dozen to a dozen school buses already leave full of children to go reunite with their parents. We are standing in the front of the school, front side of the school, right in front of the school sign. The front of the building is left to us. This is as close as we can get to the scene. We can tell you that most of the law enforcement presence is gathered in the back of the school. You can see a very large group over there. It looks like some of those officers have been walking this way, walking away from that right now, but the majority of them are still over there, with exception to those who are standing on the perimeter, of course, guarding the scene out here. We did see many officers run inside, probably 30, maybe probably about 20 minutes ago. We cannot confirm exactly what was happening, but all I can tell you is watching them from afar, there was a huge sense of urgency when they were running inside that building. They do have, law enforcement has the streets blocked off in this area. And once again, we are just waiting to find out some information. We have heard DPS has taken over the investigation. However, we did just see the FBI walking toward the scene in the back of the school. So all we can confirm is that they're here. We don't know exactly what their role is at this time or why they are here today. Once again, we're trying to find out as much as we can on the scene here.
I know this is all unfolding, Vanessa, and you're gathering as much information as you possibly can out there. It looks like police presence directly behind you has cleared out a little bit. Are they moving to the back of the building or are they leaving?
Looks like maybe they are opening the street up right here. We cannot confirm that, but most of the law enforcement presence is in the back of the school. You can see where they have it. There's a police tape around the front of the school, and you can see that huge group of law enforcement gathered in the back of the school. And I do believe that is Sheriff Nalaska that just walked out of the building. He ran in a while when we said that group ran in the building. So some of them looks like may have come out. But once again, all they're telling me out here now is this is a very active investigation.
All right, and we do have Chopper 5 on the way there, Vanessa, and then we will be able to get an aerial view, see the back of the school. Of course, you are positioned in the front of the school, and we have seen all of that going on. This week in Uvalde was supposed to be the last day of school on Thursday. Uvalde High School is graduating on Friday. It's a big week there for students and families. Okay, here is Chopper 5. Audrey, can you tell if that's the back of the school?
That looks like where all of those police officers and deputies are gathered there. Maybe the side of the school. Vanessa Croy is further to the front of the school there, but this is a...
All right, guys. So again, I know if you're coming in here and you're new to the stream, make sure you go ahead and like the video. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Okay. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I am going to update you on who the shooter is. We do have a poll going on, so vote on the poll. Vote on the poll, okay? The poll is asking, what do you think the race of this mass shooter was? We have him right here. Salvador Ramos, 18 years old. You know, looks like a regular burrito, okay? This is actually a video of him pulling up to the school, allegedly. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh shit. Where are they at?
So somebody actually got footage of him outside. But he is deceased. He was shot by the police after injuring two. Okay, the police officers have no serious injuries. So shout out to the police. But yeah, this is him, man. This motherfucker's a menace, bruh. Honestly. But he's dead now. After killing 14 elementary school kids and a teacher. Shit is fucked up. Hey, these mass shootings are going crazy. These burrito gremlins are on demon time. All right, it's. I don't know what's going on. It's back to back now. It's back to back. You know, is this what is to be expected? Guys, like the video. Like the damn video, okay? But we're gonna go ahead and share the screen again, get you guys updated on this situation. It's crazy.
A wider view, you can tell that the school is in the center of a community right there,
Right.
of a neighborhood, and they are starting, it looks like, to open up those streets, but that campus is still fully roped off as a crime scene after everything started unfolding around noon today.
Right, and of course, elementary schools are situated right in a neighborhood, so children can walk to school, and that is the case here. Okay, I'm just going to walk over here and get a better look. At the front of the school, I think where those two vans are parked, and now we're coming around to the back of the school here. And this is where they were evacuating people and running in.
And it looks as though maybe that's faculty parking there to the left of your screen. And then that's the back part. We're not sure if that's more classrooms or a gymnasium. And we're not exactly sure where the entire incident unfolded, whether that was the front of the school, the side of the school, the cafeteria, the gymnasium. We're still waiting to find out a lot of details about this very active scene. The FBI is now on scene, along with many other counties and cities assisting, including San Antonio police, who have sent in resources.
Right, and I'm trying to locate Vanessa Croy. We're swinging around the side of the school now, getting ready to come to the front. You see this group of people gathered here in the middle of your screen. I believe those are the people we've been seeing behind Vanessa in her live shots. And you can see people are starting to come out the side of the building. There, all the people behind the chain link fence, and the yes, and the vehicles. Okay, you can get a
yes, Deborah. Yes, it appears from where we're standing that they are behind the chain fence. Once again, this is as far as we can get to the active scene that looks like is happening behind the school. We are standing in the front of the school, and that huge gathering of law enforcement is in the back. That's where we just saw the FBI agents walking toward that area. And that is where they have the police line blocked off all the way to the extended past that area over there. They do have these streets blocked off as well. So we're not sure exactly what's happening over there. All that law enforcement will tell us right now on the scene is that is very active investigation. I can tell you from speaking to some of the law enforcement on my way down here is that all they could tell me was this is a very active situation. I know they were just doing their best to try to figure out what exactly was happening and protect those children from whatever harm was in their way today.
So Vanessa, you are right in front of the school, is that correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
You're on the sidewalk right in
Yes,
front
we
of the
are.
school.
So once it, yes, and that is close as we can get to the scene right now. Officers have asked that we stay back here. We are respecting that. It looks like, once again, that the majority of the investigation is happening in the back of the school. That's where that large gathering of law enforcement is standing at almost past that building. It looks like they're past the chain link fence back there.
And it seems to be maybe a faculty parking lot. We do know after the late 90s, 2000s, they started revamping schools and front offices where they were locked during the school day and you had to be let in. It seems like there's not much activity there in the front of the school. Wondering, Vanessa is working to find out, as well as our other crews, where exactly this incident unfolded there on the campus at Robb Elementary School.
Yes, we just lost our chopper shot there. We're back down live on the ground. In the front of the school, we've seen in the back of the school, but you're right, Audrey. I mean, everything is locked down now. Very hard for people to get into a school.
Yes.
So we don't know where the shooter entered, and we don't know where the shooting happened.
Absolutely. But if you are just joining us, it was around noon today that Uvalde Consolidated School District did report an active shooter at Robb Elementary School. They shut down their entire district. And then it was around 1 o'clock that Uvalde police did report that they had one person in custody. At that time, there were no reports of injuries, but we have since learned that Uvalde Memorial Hospital is treating several people in their ER. They're asking that only immediate family report there. And also University Hospital here in San Antonio is treating 2 patients, 1 adult and 1 child. The FBI is on scene, and we've also learned that DPS has taken over this investigation.
And Chief McManus told us SAPD is sending equipment there to help. And so everyone is rallying around law enforcement, around this small community, Uvalde, 16,000 people, to help in this tragic situation.
And only 600 students at the school, Robb Elementary School. It's one of 2 elementary schools there at UCISD. All of the other children who were not injured, they were taken to Willie DeLeon Civic Center, and they are starting to be released to parents there. They can pick them up there. It's off Highway 90.
And we have just gotten word, Alicia Nieves, Ken's 5 reporter, is on the scene where all the students are being held at the De Leon Civic Center. Alicia, what can you tell us?
Good afternoon, ladies. We just passed the Civic Center. Reporter Victoria De Leon is there. The school just gave clearance for parents to go and pick up their students there. It's been very active by the school district, by the police department, on social media. As you can imagine, parents concerned, they wanted to arrive to school as soon as they heard the news this morning. They wanted to go and collect their children, make sure their children were safe. But the school said they had to account for these children first before taking them to the Civic Center. So Victoria De Leon is at the Civic Center right now. I am driving down Main Street, headed toward the library, where another staging area is taking place. We hear a bloodmobile is there. We are just about 2 minutes away. Main Street is packed right now in Uvalde, and it's not just with residents. We're seeing multiple law enforcement agencies on our trip from San Antonio to Uvalde. We saw the San Antonio Police hostage negotiation unit. We've seen multiple ambulances driving towards Uvalde, and then a couple more in the other direction back towards San Antonio. We see a chopper in the air. We see multiple law enforcement vehicles just driving through this main street. So we are here to check out what this staging area is all about. I've been just looking on social media to try and see if we can learn any further information, but that is what we know at this time. I mean, you know, this is a time, ladies, when school's about to let out, and students are looking forward to summer vacation. They want to start signing yearbooks. They want to start, you know, gearing up for summer vacation. And I can't imagine to deal with this kind of thing right now as school's about to let out. It's just heartbreaking, but I will certainly keep you updated if I hear any new information. Once again, on the way to a staging area at the library off Main Street here in Uvalde.
Thank you so much, Alicia. And she mentioned a blood mobile. We do know when situations like this happen, they are needing people to step up and donate blood just for whoever they're treating in that area.
Right. And we had not heard of the library being used as a staging area for any of the children.
No.
So perhaps they are using this as a staging area to get people to donate blood. A dad told us he saw several bloodied students leaving the elementary school. We know that several of them are being treated at the Uvalde Memorial Hospital there. There's, of course, always a need for blood, but perhaps especially now.
Yes, absolutely. And they are releasing children who were bused over to Willie DeLeon Civic Center. They started releasing them probably over an hour ago now to their parents. They were being held there because they were needing to account for every child that was there, like we heard from Vanessa. And these types of situations, you know, they've practiced for these. Unfortunately, this day and age, we have to practice for active shooter situations. And when something like this happens, teachers are told to pull any child you see in the hallway, pull them in your classroom, turn out the lights. That's traditionally how teachers are trained and staff.
Right, lock the doors and at times have the students get under the desks. Let's go back to Vanessa Croy on the scene there at Robb Elementary.
Well, guys, we are back here live on the scene. We have been out here probably for over an hour. Our cameras were the first here on the street to see what was unfolding in front of us. And I wish that we had more information about the investigation, as it is a very active scene out here. We can only tell you what we see right now. There are many law enforcement officers standing in the back of the school. You can see them behind that chain link fence. I know that multiple law enforcement from surrounding counties are out here lending support. We are looking at a San Antonio Fire Department battalion chief pulling up as well. Looking at a city of Austin, some kind of official pulling up. It says EMS physician on that truck. So obviously there's a lot of need out here for support. These are very small communities out here. There's only one regional hospital in Uvalde County. There's one regional hospital an hour away in Del Rio, and the largest medical centers are in San Antonio, which is at least an hour and a half away. So they are definitely in need of the support out here. I've talked to some of the sheriffs of the surrounding counties who have also sent EMS crews, who have sent officers out here to lend their support, and that was 2 hours ago. So that they have been out here for a long time, as well as DPS. And we also saw the FBI arriving as well. We haven't confirmed with them exactly what their role is out here yet. The last we heard was that DPS was taking over the investigation into what happened out here at this school today.
And like she mentioned, there is only one hospital there. We do know they are treating several people in the ER there at Uvalde Memorial Hospital. They're asking immediate family to go to that second floor cafeteria, and then their staff will reconnect you with them. And the other closest hospital, like she was saying, Del Rio and San Antonio, we confirmed through a tweet with University Hospital, they are treating 2 patients that were transported there to Memorial Hospital there in Uvalde. But again, this is a very, very small community. We also learned that San Antonio PD is lending their county sheriff's office is sending folks out there to help. We know DPS has taken over this investigation. Uvalde PD was, though, however, the first on the scene.
Right. And we did just get word from Sheriff Salazar. They're sending units down there, as you said, as well. So everyone is joining in and trying to help Uvalde in this situation where a shooter apparently has entered the elementary school there at Robb Elementary and injured several people. We don't know how many people are injured or how seriously. We do know children, and we do know at least one adult was injured. From University Health, They're treating an adult and a child, evaluating them. They've not released their conditions. We don't know the conditions of the children or people. Could be staff at Uvalde Memorial. Now, people, it looks like they're moving there. This is in front of the school, and we've been watching law enforcement and some neighbors. And
like they're running.
Yes, and now they are running.
Wow. Let's see if we can go back to Vanessa to see if she has any word as to why those different
why people are running.
Members are running there.
Deborah and Audrey, we do not know. We don't know what's happening out here, but there is extreme urgency with law enforcement right now on the streets. DPS, Uvalde Police, there is something happening down the street. We don't know what exactly is happening, but we just heard these officers tell each other to run. They are making their way toward the back of the school. These officers just turned on their lights. You can see other officers making their way out there. You can see Border Patrol, DPS running out of the school right now. It looks like they are heading down the street across from the school. Once again, we do not know where they're headed right now. We just know that there is some sense of urgency with these officers right now, that something has just happened and they are responding to that situation. This is as far as we can get on the scene right now. It looks like I believe that's Border Patrol's BORTAC unit. They are loading up in that Humvee-looking vehicle down at the end of the road. You see it at the side of the school. Once again, all I can tell you right now is what I'm seeing, and that is the urgency in these officers' faces and how fast they were moving down that street right there. I do not have a map in front of me. I can tell you in a moment what street that is, but I'm not sure where they are headed. This is a residential neighborhood around this school, so perhaps they are heading to another home.
Mic open?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Vanessa, we have just, we have an unconfirmed report that police are surrounding the other elementary school in Uvalde.
Dalton Elementary School, which is just 7 minutes away.
All that we can tell you right now is that law enforcement officer just pulled up and said no shots fired at the high school. It looks like perhaps that's where they are heading right now. We cannot confirm that. That's just what we're hearing on the scene. No shots fired at high school, but we cannot confirm that at this time. We just heard a law enforcement officer tell another officer that here on the street. So once again, we just saw many officers rush toward to the back of the school, and I would need to look at a map. I do believe the other schools are nearby, but we are trying to find out exactly what's happening out here right now.
Okay, Vanessa, thank you. No shots fired at the high school. We also have been told there's a police presence at the other elementary school there in Uvalde. There are only two. Robb Elementary, of course, where we had the shooting today, and then Dalton Elementary School, we have been told there's a police presence there as well. And Vanessa just heard the officers discussing Uvalde High School and that no shots had been fired there.
And Dalton Elementary School, it's located just off Highway 90 there on North 4th Street and Leona Road. We have not confirmed whether or not that police are there, but we do have unconfirmed reports of a police presence there at Dalton Elementary School. But we do know they did have every campus on lockdown earlier today to ensure that all students were secure. And, you know, UCISD, like you mentioned, Deborah, they were supposed to let out for school this week.
Right.
Graduation at the high school was supposed to happen this Friday.
Graduation Friday and end of school on Thursday. It's a small community there in Uvalde, and now it looks like both elementary schools and the high school are somehow connected in all of this. Police presence, and maybe it's just a matter of being overly cautious. We don't know, but just moments ago, if you were with us, you saw all of those armed police officers running from Robb Elementary, getting into SWAT vehicles, police vehicles, and just taking off.
And Uvalde CISD did just tweet out that there will be a press conference there at the Willie DeLeon Civic Center. They posted that at about 2:32 to Twitter. We do have Victoria DeLeon there at the scene, along with Alicia Nieves, and they will be covering that. And we hope to bring you more information once we do have officials on the record.
Yes, several scenes, active scenes in Uvalde right now. These are live pictures from Robb Elementary, where there were an active shooter at about noon today, where that active shooter is in custody, but numerous people are in the hospital. They're in Uvalde, 2 people in the hospital here in San Antonio. And we have understand, of course, there's the staging area where all the children were taken at De Leon Civic Center, where the news conference will be held. Our reporter Alicia Nieves told us there is another staging center at the Uvalde Library where they are taking blood donations.
And we do have Alicia Nieves by phone right now. Alicia, what can you tell us about this upcoming press conference?
Well, the school district just announced that they will be giving more information shortly at the Civic Center. That is about 2 minutes away from where I am, down the street, 300 West Main Street in Uvalde. And as soon as we drove up, the last I spoke with you, we were trying to fight traffic to get here, but we are here outside of the, I believe, old library building. It looks like it's a vacant building, but you see ambulances from Utopia, from San Antonio, from Val Verde. We asked a couple of the firefighters who were kind of controlling traffic around here, what's going on? And they said, they completely forgot that some of these little, it's like all these little counties, emergency and volunteer crews are showing up. They said, oh my goodness, I had no idea that they even had this type of help that they could give us. So it really sounds like even the local emergency crews are just, thankful that they're getting help from all across South Texas here. So you see multiple ambulances lined up in the parking lot here. And I mentioned earlier the blood donation vehicle. That was given to us by another journalist. That information was given to us by another journalist. But I believe what they were referring to is a vehicle that is actually a mass casualty evacuation ambulance. So the firefighters kind of call it an intensive care unit bus. And what they can do is take care of up to 20 people inside at once. But again, this is a staging area, and these emergency crews are waiting for the call. They arrived, most arrived about an hour ago to wait to see where they were needed. But the firefighters told us that as soon as they arrived, they heard that the injuries that happened at the school the injured were already being taken to the hospital via airline. So for now, they are staying put and waiting to see if they're needed. I'm seeing a group of firefighters just hanging out in the shade for now, just once again waiting for word on what they should do next. But again, it sounds like it's just a camaraderie right now, a team from all across South Texas made up of first responders waiting to see how they can help in this tragic situation like this.
Okay, then, Alicia, so just to clarify, they are not conducting a blood drive right now. Is that correct?
That is correct. I think that we were misinformed about that, and it does look, if you at first glance, one of those blood donation drive vehicles, the same kind of model, but this is not. It is the Emergency Medical Task Force from the San Antonio Fire Department, and once again, it can be used to treat up to 20 people inside should a mass casualty event happen, but they have not needed to use that resource today just yet, Deborah.
All right. Thanks so much, Alicia. And we do know not only San Antonio Fire is there, but Bexar County Sheriff's Office tells us they are also sending their support. San Antonio Police. We know the FBI is there on scene, and DPS has taken over this investigation of this active shooter situation that took place there at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde.
Yes, and they have the entire school is surrounded with crime scene tape. We do know dozens of police officers and law enforcement are still inside the school there, along with the FBI that we saw arrive about 30 minutes ago and enter the school. So they're processing the scene there. And let's go back live to Vanessa Croy.
We just wanted to give you a quick update. A few minutes ago, we saw many law enforcement rushing down the street. What appeared to be Border Patrol or SWAT members actually was also members of the San Antonio SWAT team. We just saw their vehicle drive by. They ran out of the school. There was a huge sense of urgency in these officers' faces, and as fast as they were moving, we were hearing there could have been something else at another school. An officer just passed us a few minutes ago. I asked if everything was okay, and he said yes, no alarm right now. So that's all we can tell you. We don't know what happened further down the street. We just saw the officers rush down the street, but the San Antonio SWAT vehicle that we saw all those officers jump into is now in front of the school again. So they are back in this area. Once again, all that law enforcement is telling us right now is that this is a very active investigation at Robb Elementary here in Uvalde. It looks like there were probably a huge amount of officers standing in the back of the school. Earlier, it looked like there's a smaller number of law enforcement officers standing over there at this time. Looks like they are also blocking off this street. City of Uvalde crews are here putting barricades up. Appears that they will be blocking off the street. We can tell you too that we did see FBI here as well, but we don't know their role at this time. The last we heard is that DPS is taking over the investigation. We also saw the Texas Rangers here as well today. So once again, multiple law enforcement agencies, especially a few hours ago. We've been out here for a while now, and I can tell you that the first responders to come out here and support this Uvalde police and Uvalde County police or these surrounding border counties from Medina County, Kenny County, Valverde County, all around coming out here, sending officers as well as DPS troopers here as well and Border Patrol rushing out here to lend any support they can to this community today.
All right, Vanessa, thank you. Well, this has been a very fluid situation, all unrolling, evolving in the last 2.5 hours. But if you are just joining us, we want to bring you up to date. Around noon today, we got word of an active shooter at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. We have since learned that that shooter is in custody. Several people are injured. A child and an adult are being treated at University Health. We don't know their condition. Several people are being treated at Memorial Hospital in Uvalde. We've been getting conflicting reports about other schools, possibly in every school was put into lockdown in Uvalde, a community of 16,000 when this happened. But we have gotten conflicting reports about police presence at other schools, but no reports of any other shootings. Simply at Robb Elementary, all the 600 students were evacuated. They were sent over to the De Leon Civic Center there in Uvalde. And within the last half hour, parents have been arriving to pick those children up.
And we do know that UCISD is going to be holding a press conference. The school district will be speaking to crews there at the scene. We do have Victoria De Leon and Alicia Nieves there at that pickup scene at Willie De Leon Civic Center, where parents were able to pick up their students. Now, Robb Elementary School only has about 600 students. It's located in Uvalde. That's about 85 miles west of San Antonio, and that's where all of this unfolded this afternoon. A very small community. There are multiple law enforcement agencies there assisting, like you just heard from Vanessa there at the scene. Uvalde police did start, they reported first to that scene around noon today, but DPS has since taken over this investigation and they are the lead. The FBI is there. We've learned Bexar County Sheriff's Office is sending their assistance. You saw San Antonio SWAT there at the scene. And San Antonio Fire as well. And we have learned that there were 15 liters of blood sent to that area from neighboring blood banks, because in any type of situation with high injuries, which we know there are multiple people being treated at Uvalde Memorial Hospital and at least 2 in San Antonio, there is always a need for blood.
Yes, and people are so generous in times like this. Now, about an hour ago, we saw 3 to 4 dozen heavily armed officers running into the school. We have not seen them come out. We did see the FBI arrive there at the scene. So presumably they're all still inside the school, which is active crime scene, processing that right now.
And you are looking at our Chopper 5 right now. This is a wide shot from above Robb Elementary School. They did push our crew back. They were on the sidewalk there in front of the school, but just a few minutes ago, we saw crews and different law enforcement agencies running from that scene. And then shortly after, did they push our crews there back? But we have them back live right now. Want to see maybe Vanessa Croy can update us, see if she has any new information. So working to get more from her.
Yes, Vanessa, she has been out there since about 1:30 today.
I apologize.
No.
I am here today. I've been covering this area I've been covering this area for a long time. These communities are very close, and I apologize for stepping away. I'm responding to as many messages as I can from these communities, surrounding communities, trying to inform friends out here. I'm going to say friends because these communities are very close knit. As you can see, a lot of the law enforcement from surrounding counties were here first, supporting Uvalde Police and Uvalde County Sheriff's Office. When whatever happened at this school today, they were here first. I know the sheriffs have told me in a few of the surrounding counties that they sent officers and EMS units right away. And you have to remember as well, these counties are very small. Uvalde only has one regional hospital. Valverde County only has one regional hospital in Del Rio. And I know there's very few EMS units as well compared to, for example, San Antonio, which is 2 hours away to the nearest medical center. Since we've been out here, we have seen San Antonio Fire Department crews here. We have seen some city vehicles from Austin EMS here. San Antonio Police SWAT team have been here. We saw them running into the school, I would assume, probably about an hour ago. We did hear some concerns that there was another situation going on. We haven't confirmed exactly what happened. We just had an officer here on the scene tell us that there was, everything is okay, is what he told us. So I don't have any details as to what was happening or why they were running down the street. All I can tell you is what I'm seeing. And once we saw them run down the street, a few minutes later, some of them were returning, including that San Antonio SWAT vehicle. Now we are standing on the side in front of the school, and the San Antonio SWAT vehicle is parked in front of the school right now.
All right, Vanessa. And I know that you saw deputies go into the school and come out, and they were very distraught. We don't know what that means. We are waiting for a news conference anytime now from Uvalde school, the Uvalde School District there, to tell us everything they know.
Yeah, and that'll be taking place at Willie DeLeon Civic Center. That's where they sent the remainder of the students by bus there to be reunified with their parents. That took several hours because they did want to account for every child there. And we were talking earlier, the school district, Uvalde CISD, they actually were about to release this week for a summer break when all of this unfolded. Right, the last week of school. And high school graduation is this Friday. For this small community, this is it's a terrible thing for any community to have to be going through. Absolutely. And it's just 85 miles west of San Antonio, to give you some perspective. Like Vanessa has been saying, a very tight-knit community. There are multiple law enforcement agencies who have gone to lend a hand in any way that they can, just be there of assistance for this community. San Antonio Fire did take that emergency truck like we heard from Alicia, but luckily they did not have to use it. But we do know that several people are being treated at Uvalde Memorial Hospital. We're trying to find out just how many and the severity of their injuries. They're asking that only immediate family show up at that hospital, and then their staff will try to reunite you and give you more information. And of course, we are waiting for that press conference at Willie DeLeon Civic Center. That's off Highway 90. It's just 5 minutes from Robb Elementary School. And we have confirmed 15 liters of blood has been sent to Uvalde Memorial Hospital to help those people there. And we're going to go back now to Vanessa Croy. Vanessa?
I wish we had some new updates for you, Deborah and Audrey. I can only tell you what I've seen since we got out here a few hours ago. And it does appear that the law enforcement presence has moved a little bit from the school. I know some of these officers have been out here for hours, just looking at their tired faces, walking outside the building. Whatever happened here at this school today was very difficult for them. I do know that some more Border Patrol officials have arrived. We don't know exactly their role today, but I do know that, once again, I've said it time and time again, that these communities are here to support each other, from Border Patrol, DPS, local sheriff's office, city police, are all here. We do know that San Antonio police, we have seen their SWAT team. San Antonio Fire Department is also here assisting in the situation, and we have seen the FBI arrive about an hour ago. So once again, we're still trying to figure out their role. I know that press conference, I believe, is with the superintendent of the schools. We'll learn a little bit more information about what happened. I can just tell you right now, this is very difficult for everybody on the scene today, including us. I know these communities very well, so it is a big struggle, especially with these officers who, in this tight community, that probably have children at the school, are family members. They grew up in Uvalde, they grew up in one of these surrounding counties. So I can tell from their faces, it's been a very challenging day for everyone out here today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Vanessa, for checking back in with us. Uvalde CISD, they also just posted to their Facebook, all district and campus activities, after school programs and events are canceled today. They just posted that 3 minutes ago. Understandably, nothing will be taking place after school. We are waiting for that press conference that's going to be happening at Willie DeLeon Civic Center. That is the reunification site for parents and children that they opened up just a while ago. This was the last week of school and UCISD. So a really heartbreaking situation taking place there in Uvalde.
Yes, and we are expecting to be hearing from the superintendent of Uvalde CISD, Dr. Hal Harrell, there at the De Leon Civic Center, where he will bring us up to date on what has happened at this elementary school and what is going on. The roads were blocked off up until about 30 minutes ago surrounding this school by law enforcement. Those roads are now reopened, although the school is still wrapped in crime scene crime scene tape. And we do know a number of law enforcement officials, along with the FBI, are still inside that school.
And we also learned that 15 units of blood were sent to Uvalde Memorial Hospital. Earlier in the day, Uvalde Memorial posted on their Facebook that they were treating several people in the ER. Only immediate family was asked to gather their second floor cafeteria, and then the hospital staff would be speaking with them. We also learned that 2 people were transported to University Hospital here in San Antonio, 1 adult and 1 child.
And of course, we've been reporting for the last several weeks about the increase in mass shootings that we've seen. And unfortunately, we have seen far too many mass shootings inside of schools over the last couple of years, not during the pandemic, but prior to that. We've seen very few at elementary schools. So this is...
Anytime this happens, this is any parent's worst nightmare. I'm sure it took a while to reunify parents and children, but they just wanted to make sure everyone was accounted for. We do know schools, we heard from Vanessa, have been trained in these types of situations, these mass shooting situations. And like you mentioned, a lot of that started when a lot of these shootings began across the country.
Right, and we heard from Vanessa Croy, a former teacher herself, about the process. We do have an update on the shooting at Robb Elementary School. At University Hospital, 1 patient, a 66-year-old woman, is in critical condition. We do not yet have a condition to report on the child. That coming to us via Twitter from University Health. A 66-year-old woman is in critical condition there, and a child is also being treated. We don't know that child's condition right now.
And we are still awaiting to hear from CISD School District. They will be talking at Willie DeLeon Civic Center. We have a crew there on the scene who is going to be updating us any minute now. But that scene there at Robb Elementary School still covered in crime scene tape. They're pushing everyone back. It's still a very active investigation scene. We have a crew there on the scene as well. And if you're just joining us, it was around noon today where there, Uvalde Consolidated School District, they put Robb Elementary School on lockdown due to an active shooter situation. They put every school in their district on lockdown at that time. Uvalde police were the first to respond to that scene. It wasn't until around 1:06 that they reported that a suspect was in custody. We don't know whether that's a man, a woman. We don't know their condition. We are waiting to find out more. We do know DPS has taken over that investigation. FBI is there on the scene. There's only about 600 students that go there to Robb Elementary School. It's one of 2 elementary schools and UC ISD.
Yes, and so this is the last week of school there in Uvalde, of course, across the area. And the last day of school is supposed to be Thursday, and graduation will be Friday. But as we've just learned, all activities today have been canceled across the Uvalde Consolidated School District. And we are waiting to hear from the superintendent, who is going to be holding a news conference at the Civic Center, where all of the children were taken by bus from this elementary school starting at about 1 o'clock, shuttled over there. It's just a mile away, about 5 minutes from the elementary school, where they did a very thorough job of confirming all of the children and then releasing them to their parents, doing a head count.
All right, we want to get back to Vanessa Croy, who is there on the ground in front of Robb Elementary School. Vanessa, have you learned anything new?
Unfortunately, guys, I have not. I was just looking at the time to see how long we've been out here today. I would assume probably shortly after, about an hour after whatever happened at this school. I know it was, I arrived shortly after they took a suspect into custody. We don't know who that is. We don't know anything about what happened inside the school today. I can tell you what exactly that I've seen out here. When I first arrived, this is in a residential area, so there are homes surrounding the school. We're actually in the front of the school. The majority of the law enforcement has been staged near the back of the school. We have seen San Antonio SWAT team, that they had a truck at the front of the school a few minutes ago. Officers out here just tell me this is a very active investigation. I can tell you, driving down here when I was trying to reach out to law enforcement in this area, frantic in their voices. Whatever happened here today is hurting this community already. I can see it in the faces of the officers out here, from DPS to Border Patrol to the local sheriff's office to the city Uvalde police. This is a very small, tight-knit community. I'm assuming that many of these officers have families that attend this school, as well as children in this community. So surrounding sheriffs have told me once again that they have sent EMS units and officers to the scene right away, right when the first calls came in earlier today, that there was some kind of active shooting scene here at Robb Elementary and Uvalde CISD.
Really, every parent's worst nightmare.
We also...
every community's worst
yes,
nightmare.
and I do want to say, just from being a teacher myself, we talked about this earlier. Many teachers and students are used to doing lockdown drills all year. I believe the state requires a certain amount, one each semester, maybe more, that you're required to do. But just from my experience, I did many of those when I was an educator, but I can't imagine the fear and the uncertainty of these teachers and the children when they find out this one is for real. Because especially, the teachers trying to protect those students in their classroom and not knowing what's happening outside that classroom door. I can't imagine what they were going through inside today.
All right, Vanessa, thank you. And we've just gotten new word from Uvalde Memorial Hospital. They received 13 children. They were brought there by ambulance or buses for treatment. 2 children have been transferred to San Antonio. 1 child is pending transfer. 2 individuals that arrived at, this is just terrible, at Uvalde Memorial Hospital were dead. So 2 deaths in this shooting that we can now confirm. Right now, we have just learned that from Uvalde Memorial Hospital. 13 children injured, being treated, but 2 people are dead.
And that's really heartbreaking. Children.
Well, we don't know if the 2 who are dead are children. We don't know. We just know that 2 individuals that arrived are dead. I mean, 13 children were brought there by ambulance, I don't know if these two are among the 13. So 13 injured, 2 dead, and then a woman in critical condition at University Health and a child in undetermined condition at University Health. All of this began about noon today at Robb Elementary in Uvalde with an active shooting situation. That shooter is now in custody. We know 2 people are dead, 13 children injured, another adult and child here in San Antonio being treated.
And we are waiting to hear from the school district, UCISD. They are expected to speak to our cameras, to the community. They are at Willie DeLeon Civic Center is where that press conference is going to be held. But we just learned that 13 kids are being treated there at Memorial Hospital in Uvalde, and 2 children have died after this active shooter situation that unfolded at Robb Elementary School around noon today.
We're not exactly sure if they're children. We just know 2 people have died.
2 people have died.
Possibly children and possibly not. But we are waiting for Dr. Hal Harrell to hold that news conference. He is the superintendent of Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District. And all of this as we show you live pictures of Robb Elementary, where there is still a police presence there, where all of this tragedy unfolded just about 3 hours ago.
And it looks like they have pushed that crime scene tape back further. This is a live look of Chopper 5 there at Robb Elementary School there in Uvalde, where all of this unfolded. We know DPS has taken over the investigation. FBI is there at the scene. San Antonio Police and BCSO are lending their hand and assistance, as well as San Antonio Fire, as well as many other law enforcement agencies from around that entire community have stepped in to help in any way they can.
Yes, we saw dozens of law enforcement there around the school. Our reporter Vanessa Croy on the scene, she told us that several officers came out of the school extremely distraught, even crying. And now we have learned of 2 deaths, possibly children. 13 other children, 14 other children injured, and 1 adult that we know of, a 66-year-old woman being treated here in San Antonio at University Health in critical condition.
And we just got that information just a bit ago. We do have Alicia Nieves and Victoria DeLeon. They are there at Willie DeLeon Civic Center. I just saw a post by UCISD that they're expecting that press conference to happen in the next 30 minutes. That was a reunification center where they sent children by bus who were there at Robb Elementary School. They sent the rest of the children by bus to be reunified with their parents after several hours of counting and making sure every child was accounted for there.
And we did speak with a father who has a child, not at Robb Elementary, but what is the other one there? Audrey, do you remember the name of it?
Dalton Elementary.
Dalton Elementary. He had a son at Dalton Elementary. And then he had heard there was a shooting. He went to Dalton and it wasn't there. And so he went right over to Robb. And he saw a school bus being loaded with a lot of bloody students, he told us. And we have now learned 13 students were taken there to Memorial Hospital in Uvalde. Some were taken by ambulance, but some were taken by bus. That is also the location that has reported that 2 people have died. And we don't yet know whether those are children or adults who died there at the hospital.
We do know the blood bank has sent, I want to say 13 liters 13 liters of blood there to Uvalde Memorial Hospital to help out with the injured. Like you just heard from Deborah, 13 kids being treated there at Uvalde Memorial Hospital. They're asking that only immediate family members show up at that hospital to wait on the second floor in the cafeteria, and staff should be speaking with them. They let us know that a few hours ago. Hopefully everyone's there with their family.
Okay, we're going to go now live to KENS 5's Matt Houston. He is at University Hospital where they are treating an adult and a child. Matt?
Deborah, you just reported that the 66-year-old woman is in critical condition. We don't know how that child is doing. Critical condition generally means serious injuries, though we don't know the severity of those just yet, only that she isn't doing too well at the moment. We want to talk for a moment about the differences between University Health and Memorial Hospital in Uvalde. Memorial is a level 4 trauma center. There are about 193 of these statewide. They're generally prepared to handle basic cases. University Health is one of 20 level 1 trauma centers in the state. They are best prepared to handle the most urgent situations. And so again, though we don't know much about the two patients inside, we can sort of infer from the fact that they are here at University Health that these are serious cases and taken seriously by the doctors on staff at the hospital behind me. Uvalde Memorial generally transfers its most serious patients either to University Health or to SAMC here in San Antonio. That's standard procedure for rural hospitals around the state. Again, a 66-year-old woman in critical condition. We don't know the age or the condition of the child that is here, but 2 patients from that shooting in Uvalde now being treated in San Antonio. We'll keep you posted as we learn more about their conditions, what exactly happened as all of that unfolds, and kind of keep you posted as we learn more from University Health about the situation. Deb?
All right, Matt, thank you. Okay, that is the situation there. Here in San Antonio, an hour and a half away from the scene of that shooting at Robb Elementary. Now, we do know in Uvalde at Memorial Hospital, 13 children were taken there and being treated. We do know 2 people have died there. We don't know right now whether those 2 are part of the 13 children or if they are separate from that.
And we also know there were some pending transports as well to San Antonio, hoping to get them there to University Hospital, possibly to be treated. But again, this all unfolded around noon today at UCISD's Robb Elementary School. There's only about 600 students who go to that school. It is the last week of school for the district. The district has called off any activities for this evening, and we're waiting to hear from Dr. Hal Harrell, who will be speaking. There will be a press conference at Willie De Leon Civic Center. We expect to hear from him. We know DPS has taken over this investigation. And we know FBI is there at the scene. We also know that several neighboring law enforcement agencies have been on the scene all afternoon, lending a hand in any way they can, including Bexar County Sheriff's Office, San Antonio Fire, and San Antonio Police. We saw their SWAT team there at the scene. So a still very active scene there in Uvalde, which we were saying is just west of San Antonio, about 85 miles away.
Right. Everyone jumping in to help this small community deal with this tragedy there where.
And we've learned 13 children are hospitalized there at Uvalde Memorial Hospital. We learned that 13 liters of blood were sent by the blood bank there to help support them. We do know 2 people were reported dead. We've confirmed 2 people confirmed dead after this active shooter situation. One woman, a 66-year-old woman in critical condition at University Hospital here in San Antonio, as well as one child being treated at University Hospital who's also critical condition.
Yes, and let's go back live to Vanessa Croy on the scene there. Vanessa, have you learned something new?
I've not learned anything new from here on the scene. I just wanted to give you an update, kind of tell you a little bit more what we're seeing here right now. When we first got here a few hours ago, it was shortly after they brought that, somehow had that suspect in custody. We don't know exactly, what happened inside the school building today. But now that we're learning that 2 are dead and that so many are injured, including so many children, it explains the faces of the law enforcement who are. I saw them walking out of the school earlier, and visibly upset, as we are out here today, just watching the scene unfold. As many people are wondering what was happening out here today. Just seeing the faces of the challenge of what was happening inside as the scene was unfolding inside today. Once again, if you're not familiar with this community, Uvalde is a very small community out here, border community. All of the surrounding counties are also very close knit, and law enforcement, EMS came immediately from the surrounding counties to support Uvalde Police and Uvalde County Sheriff's Office. Also talked to a few officers out here on my way, and I could just hear the frantic terror in their voices, not knowing exactly what was happening. And I can't even imagine how many of these officers on the scene today, from DPS to Border Patrol to the local law enforcement, had children inside that building or perhaps family members inside that building and still wondering what was unfolding inside.
And we do know that, Vanessa, you were saying they pushed you back for a bit. You're back on air with us, but you're at the front of the school. And it seems to us, what we can see, that a lot of that activity is on the side to the back of the school is where all that law enforcement is gathering.
That's correct, Audrey. And we can still hear, chopper overhead. I'm not sure if the DPS chopper was out here earlier today, but you can see behind the school, they have a sort of a tent set up. That is what looks like the source of the investigation. When I first arrived here earlier, the majority of law enforcement officers were all focused in the back of the school. It's hard to estimate how many, but the entire area you're looking at right now is full with law enforcement officers, once again, from Border Patrol to DPS to local law enforcement. And then about 45 minutes after that, we saw a group run into the building. That included a SWAT team. It appears to be from San Antonio police run into the building. We have still not confirmed exactly why they were running into the school, what they were looking for. We are still trying to confirm that as well, what they were looking for inside. We also saw, many school buses leaving the scene earlier. Those buses full of children heading over to the Civic Center to reunite with their families. So I can tell you also, when I got here today, there were so many people lining the streets out here, just waiting to find out what happened. Talk to parents wondering, how do I find my child? I can't imagine what this community is experiencing right now, finding out this information that we're sharing right now.
All right, Vanessa, thank you. And hopefully all parents have been reunited with their children now. The children were evacuated to the Willie De Leon Civic Center. And about an hour ago, they were releasing those children to their parents. We do know 13 children were transported to Uvalde Memorial Hospital with injuries, and that 2 people have died at that are dead there at the hospital. 2 other people were airlifted to San Antonio at University Health, a 66-year-old woman and a child. Let's go back live now to Matt Houston at the scene there in San Antonio. Matt.
Deb, the 66-year-old is in critical condition. Again, that generally means serious injuries here at University Health. Again, this is one of the largest hospitals in the entire state of Texas, one of 20 Level 1 trauma centers. There are 193 Level 4 trauma centers, of which Uvalde Memorial is one. Generally, smaller rural hospitals will send their most urgent cases to major metro areas at San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, Austin. There are also major trauma centers in Waco and Tyler. That's obviously the case here. Again, it's critical condition for the 66-year-old. We don't know how the child here at University Health is doing. We can tell you it looks like a pretty normal day from the outside here in San Antonio. Uvalde Memorial generally sends its patients who need urgent care to University Health or to SAMC in San Antonio. All of those hospitals are part of the Southwest Texas Regional Advisory Council, that STRAC. You heard a lot about that council during sort of the peak of the COVID wave here in San Antonio. So obviously they have some practice working with one another. San Antonio played a massive role in accepting some of the most urgent patients from rural hospitals during that scenario. Obviously a different situation today, but good to know that there has been frequent collaboration between these hospitals, good communication between the hospitals, and STRAC overseeing all of that with experienced leadership on scene right now to treat those 2 patients. Again, one 66-year-old in bad shape, and a child whose condition we don't know at the moment. We're going to keep you posted as we get updates from University Health. We know that the shooting was reported around 12:23. University Health let us know they'd accepted 2 patients at 1:40. So, give or take an hour difference between the 2. That would be a pretty good indication, as Deb said, that they were airlifted, and we do have that confirmed. So we'll keep you posted as we learn more about the condition of these 2 patients, 66-year-old in critical condition, We don't know about the child. Deb, Audrey, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Matt. We want to get back to Uvalde. We have Alicia Nieves there at the Willie DeLeon Civic Center. We want to check in with her to see what that scene is looking like. Alicia.
Audrey, we're awaiting a press conference by district officials here in Uvalde. They tell us it will be happening within about half an hour. And right behind me, you have district officials standing by. I want to point out we have a lot of members of law enforcement. DPS, you have members of the sheriff's office here, Border Patrol, guarding the doors to the Civic Center and the perimeter. So this is the area where parents were said to go and pick up their children. And right outside the doors, they have a sign here that tell the parents which classes have the students at this center where they can go and pick up their students. Uvalde just tweeted that parents are being asked to pick up students at the regular dismissal times at the child's campus for other students. There will be no bus transportation, the district is saying. Officers will be on site to escort the students and the parents to their cars, or the students rather, and then they're just asking for the parents' patience at this time. This is something that the Uvalde community, we spoke with some city officials who were just here moments ago dropping off water to the crews, and they just said, you know, this kind of thing doesn't happen here. I think they're still trying to grasp everything that's just going on. The Border Patrol official, when we were coming here to park at the Civic Center, he did tell us that this is still a very secure perimeter. There is still an active threat, but he did not say any other specifics. So we are hoping with this press conference, again, that's expected to happen within about 15 to 20 minutes now, we are hoping to learn more information. We do know, as Matt reported, we have several injuries. This is affecting both children and parents. And so district officials are just preparing to keep us updated. Members of the media are here. We have a staging area for ambulances about 2 minutes down the road off Main Street. You had ambulances from Valverde, Utopia, San Antonio Fire Department. They had one of their mass casualty vehicles on standby just in case they need help. But they say at this time, they are not getting the call. They're just preparing. So another look at the Civic Center. We have city officials here, district officials, law enforcement. They are awaiting a press conference. We have helicopters, multiple law enforcement vehicles surrounding this area. So if you are driving down Main Street right now, be prepared to drive a little slower, maybe drive around if you can. But we will bring this press conference to you live as it happens on air and online. Once again, we hear that should be happening in about 15 minutes now. Ladies.
All right. Thank you so much, Alicia, for that update. And like she just mentioned, in about 30 minutes, we're expecting to hear from Dr. Hal Harrell, who's the superintendent of Uvalde Consolidated School District, as well as law enforcement officials who are working at that very active crime scene. Now, it was around 2:47 that Uvalde Memorial Hospital, they did confirm that 2 people have died in this active shooter situation. 13 children were transported to their hospital, Uvalde Memorial Hospital. They also had 2 children transferred to San Antonio, and 1 child is pending transfer. And we also know that 1 woman, a 66-year-old woman, is in critical condition at University Hospital as well. And there is another child there that is one of those children who was transferred. So still a very active situation. This is a live look there at Robb Elementary School there in Uvalde. Uvalde, just 85 miles west of San Antonio. San Antonio PD, Bexar County Sheriffs, FBI, as well as other surrounding local law enforcement agencies have been there all afternoon since this whole situation unfolded, trying to assist in any way they can. Just a very heartbreaking situation. We now have confirmed 2 people killed in this active shooter situation there at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, the small town of Uvalde. Now we do know Uvalde Memorial Hospital, again, they were treating 13 injured there, and 13 liters of blood have been sent there from the blood bank, have been sent to Uvalde Memorial Hospital to help with that situation. We don't know the Uvalde Memorial Hospital. We don't know the conditions of those children right now, but we do know 13 kids were injured and they were sent there. We want to send it on over now to Henry Ramos, who is also there at the scene. Henry, what and the city there on site as well, all lending their support to the school district and to the police department. DPS, we have learned, has taken over this investigation. FBI was also there on the scene, as well as a number of local law enforcement agencies lending a hand as well. Again, this is just one of two elementary schools there in Uvalde. Robb Elementary is where all of this situation unfolded. Like Deborah said, we have learned 2 people have lost their lives in this active shooter situation. 13 children were injured. They were sent to Uvalde Memorial Hospital. We do have one woman, a 66-year-old in critical condition at University Health in San Antonio, as well as a child whose condition we are not certain about. But there are also 2 others in Uvalde pending transfer, but we do not know where they will be sent just yet.
And we are waiting for a news conference. The superintendent of Uvalde School District, Dr. Hal Harrell, is going to be informing us there at the Civic Center. That is where KENS 5's Victoria De Leon is right now. Victoria?
Looks like we're having issues right now with Victoria.
Okay, I think we're good now, but I was just saying that the Civic Center is just 5 minutes away from Robb Elementary School. Right now, this is where a lot of parents were being directed to pick up some of those students. But right now, I can tell you that there is mostly district staff outside and parents. I want to step out of the way just to give you a better look. Parents have been escorted inside, and then outside, it's mostly, again, district staff and other members of the media. Now, we have not been able to talk to too many parents since we've been here. I can tell you, though, there was one mother who did walk out with her son, very, very young, both of them visibly just absolutely devastated. They were in tears. I did speak to one man who says his wife is a teacher at the elementary school and he is out here waiting for her as well. But at this point, we are going to be staying here for the next couple of hours, trying to gather some more information and talking to some more parents who, many of them on social media at least, saying that this is just absolutely the worst day and the worst possible thing that they could have ever imagined happening. But Deborah, as we're looking right now, the FBI showed up, I want to say about 5-10 minutes ago, and we're going to be keeping an eye out for any other developments. So for now, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Victoria, thank you very much. And we have just gotten word from the Uvalde School District that parents are being asked to pick their children up from the junior high, the middle school, the high school, and the other elementary school, Dalton Elementary School. There will be no bus service today, so parents will need to pick their children up from the school.
Yes, there will be no bus transportation. There are officers on each of those campuses to, help ease everyone's tensions, because this has been such a emotional day. This has been such a scary day. We've heard several stories from families and parents. Henry Ramos spoke to one grandmother who said that her 4th grade grandchild, who's just 9 years old, his father heard about the situation, ran to the school, knew which classroom his son was in, broke a window, pulled his son and several other children out of a window, and then they hid at a nearby funeral home. I'm sure we're going to be hearing many other stories coming out from this terrible, terrible situation. And we want to get back to Alicia Nieves, who is at Willie De Leon Civic Center, where that press conference is about to take place.
At first check, we were told about half an hour, so that should be where we are expected to go inside of the Civic Center right behind me for a press conference. But what we're seeing now, lots of loved ones come up to the door. They are greeted by members of state police, Border Patrol. We had DPS, and they are checking parents in at the door. Then they are walking inside, the parents are, to go and pick up their loved ones here at the Civic Center. They have a sign right outside that lists the classes with that have the children here. We are seeing, as you can imagine, ladies, lots of emotion. Family members walking out, escorting their young children to the car here at the Civic Center. it's a lot, right? It's overwhelming for many of these families and people who work at the district because of what just happened this morning. So we are expecting to walk inside these doors in just a few moments when district officials give us the word, and then they're going to give us an update in detail about everything that happened today. We are hoping. So this is, as you can imagine, a very tight-knit community. We have district officials who have brought water and snacks for families waiting inside, for the children waiting inside. And we have the perimeter being secured right now by members of law enforcement. I see, once again, members of the sheriff's office. You have Border Patrol that are on the outskirts of the Civic Center, lining up on Main Street. We're at West Main Street in Uvalde. And then right down the street, they have that staging area that I mentioned earlier with more emergency crews on standby should they be needed today. You had emergency crews from across South Texas come to Uvalde ready to help. On our drive here, we started our drive at about noon today. I'm sorry, 12:45. And on our drive, we saw multiple law enforcement vehicles, ambulances head to Uvalde to help. So we are on standby now. We are just witnessing more family members. Victoria De Leon, one of our reporters, is speaking with a couple of women right now who are getting ready to walk inside. As you can imagine, these families are just concerned that, they can go and get their loved ones. They just want to embrace them and hold them once again, and they want to know that they are okay. So we will keep you up to date on when this press conference will start. We will stream that for you and keep you up to date as soon as we learn any new details. Ladies, back to you.
All right, Alicia, thank you. And we now want to go live to Henry Ramos, who is at Uvalde Memorial Hospital. Henry.
Yeah, Deborah. And so I come to you with some really sad news. So I just got off the phone to San Antonio family, Lisa DeVour. I've actually done stories with them. They called me while I was on my way here. And she told me, Henry, she was like, I'm on my way to Uvalde. She was like, you won't believe I have 10 to 15 family members that go to Uvalde schools. And we have a few family members who go to Robb Elementary. And I said, oh my gosh, Lisa, how are you doing? She said, we don't know a lot. We just want to get here. Our family's from here. Obviously, we just want to get here. She just arrived. She told me she's at the Civic Center, but she just informed me that a 10-year-old who attended Robb Elementary has passed away. She said she died here at Memorial Hospital. She says the mother, which is her niece, is with her right now. We couldn't talk that much because, as you can understand, they have a lot going on. She was also trying to find one of their other loved ones who goes to the elementary school. They don't know if he got somewhat transported in the bus and then got lost, or if he is at the Civic Center. So they're trying to figure that out at this moment. But again, sad news. This family telling me that a 10-year-old at Robb Elementary was taken here, has passed away from her injuries, and is with her mother. I do not know more than that of exactly where she was at in the school, how many times she was shot, any of that. As you can imagine, it's tough taking these phone calls from family members because, and this is what a lot of families and friends and loved ones in this community is dealing with right now, is so much emotion, so much uncertainty. Let me step aside here, though, and show you just some of what is happening here outside the hospital. So I can tell you lots of law enforcement. I actually did see someone from the DEA get out of that vehicle. It looks like we do have another chopper right now that is either landing at Memorial right now. You can see, we don't know if they're going to pick up someone to transport them out of here, but you do see another helicopter here landing at University Memorial right now. A lot of law enforcement out here, a lot of family members and just people here within the community just showing up here across the street. The law enforcement are just monitoring of who they're letting in and out of the hospital, as the hospital has made very clear as they just don't want everyone showing up here. In terms of latest numbers, I do want to make a correction because I'd mentioned that 2 children had passed away. At this point, what KINS 5 confirm is that we do know that 2 people have passed away. We don't know if they are in fact
Guys, hit the super trap, like the video, share the video, hit the super trap, share the video. Okay.
this now, Audrey and Deborah, very tough because
We got merch. We got merch, guys. We got merch. RIP to the fallen, man. It's crazy out here. Like the video, guys. Like the video, man. It's a lot going on here. I'm just trying to stream it to keep y'all updated. Share the video. Hit the Super Trap. Hit the Cash App. Hit the PayPal.
this was the last week of school. This is the time where, if you remember in elementary school, you're looking forward to the summer, you're receiving all those participation awards and all these award ceremonies. There's that hype, and then you have this that happened, and these children dealing with those gunshots ringing out in schools. And obviously, as we know, the current state of time that we're in, right? This is something, unfortunately, that children have to grow up with. But we do know, and I just spoke, as I mentioned, when I was with you ladies off the top about, and everyone else that's joining us, that I did speak with a grandmother, Mary Henson, whose 9-year-old grandson was inside Robb Elementary, and he was actually pulled out of the window from his father as well as other kids. He is safe. Just saying that there was just chaos inside that school. And also saying that for a 4th grader, he's traumatized now as to what he saw, what he heard, and that's tough. And as I mentioned, this is Uvalde. This is a community that's tight knit. They know everyone. This is why you see just even community members. Was talking to a man here. He was just saying that him and his family were in San Antonio, and he was driving back, and he said, I'm just going to come here at least to pay my respects outside the hospital, to say a prayer for the family members. He said, for my community. It's devastating. I mean, this community is reeling right now, and you definitely feel that just being here on this side, Audrey and Deborah.
Well, I know Henry, Vanessa was telling us law enforcement leaving the school, coming out, were just devastated. Their faces were just a lot of people grieving. Uvalde is a place where it's a small community, and people are born and grow up there and don't move away. And so, undoubtedly, people in that community, everyone knows someone affected by this shooting. This is video that was sent to us by a viewer right at the beginning of this whole situation, when they were just starting to evacuate children by school bus there from Robb Elementary. And you can see parents and law enforcement there in that picture. We understand some of the children taken to Memorial Hospital there were taken by school bus, and some were taken by emergency vehicles.
And just shortly, we are awaiting a press conference by the superintendent, Dr. Hal Harrell of Uvalde Consolidated School District, is expected to speak, as well as law enforcement. City and county officials are also there to lend their support. It still is a very active crime scene there at Robb's Elementary School. But again, we have confirmed 2 people have died in this active shooter situation. 13 children injured, being treated at Uvalde Memorial Hospital. We've learned that 13 liters of blood were sent from the blood bank. So you can only imagine the types of injuries if they had to send 13 liters of blood there to Uvalde Memorial Hospital. There were 2 people transferred to University Hospital in San Antonio. One woman, a 66-year-old, in critical condition, a child as well. We do not know that child's status. And there was one pending transfer, and we're not sure which hospital they will end up at, in San Antonio or a neighboring city. But still waiting to hear more. We're going to send it on over to Victoria DeLeon, who is there at the Willie DeLeon Civic Center. Victoria.
Hey, Audrey. Well, I just went around to look through the window of that reunited with their students. Now, earlier today, this is where Uvalde ISD officials, CISD officials, were directing their parents. Now, if I step out of the way here, I want you to see that it is mostly district staff outside, and of course, lots of law enforcement and media presence out here. I have now seen, I want to say, 3 parents who have walked out with their kids, just absolutely devastated. And of course, so grateful to be reunited with their kids, because unfortunately it's just such a devastating situation. We did talk to one man here who is waiting on his wife who is inside. He says that she is a teacher here. We are still working to talk to some more parents about just the day unfolding. As we learn more, I'm sure there are just going to be so many heartbreaking stories coming from the families and the people in this community. But for now, we are here, and this is where that press conference is expected to take place. We're not sure what time, but we're going to be following these updates and then bringing them to you as we learn more and as we talk to more people in this very tight-knit community. I mean, the pain and the devastation is just, I think, felt throughout all of Uvalde and not just the Robb Elementary community. Audrey, Deborah.
Okay, Jessica, thank you very much. I need to speak with our executive producer, Monica. Oh my goodness, we have just gotten devastating news from Governor Greg Abbott. 14 students dead and 1 teacher dead. He has just tweeted this. This is at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. Just unfathomable. 14 students dead and a teacher.
I can't even, there aren't any words right now for this situation. Just a heartbroken community waiting to hear more. We do know that one person is in custody, was taken into custody around 1 this afternoon. We're waiting to hear from the superintendent from DPS, who's taken over this investigation, about how this all unfolded. There should be a press conference taking place here any minute shortly, but the town of Uvalde, no doubt, is heartbroken this evening over that news. Governor Greg Abbott, in a press conference, just confirmed 14 students and 1 teacher dead who were there at Robb Elementary School when this active shooter situation unfolded around noon today. It was the last week of school. School is to let out on Thursday, what was supposed to be a joyous time for all of these students and staff of a really hard year to begin with.
Right, coming off of 2 very difficult years. Yes, and and we do know a lot, of course, a crime scene. Those students are presumably still in the school. We saw dozens of law enforcement officers about 2.5 hours ago go running into the school, the FBI going into the school. We've not seen them leave Robb Elementary. Perhaps that's when they discovered all of these bodies. We do know 1 child died at the hospital, but Governor Abbott has said 14 children were killed, and a teacher, and the shooter as well is dead. And just got that word. So that is 15 dead, including the shooter.
One woman, a 66-year-old, is in critical condition at University Hospital. 1 child is also being treated at University Hospital. We do not know their status. We know that there were some pending transfers there from Uvalde Memorial Hospital, but we don't know the status of those transfers or how those victims are doing. But honestly, at this point, you could just say a prayer for this community. This is heartbreaking.
Not just heartbreaking.
We're waiting a press conference again at Willie DeLeon Civic Center. Our crews have been there at Uvalde Memorial Hospital speaking to people who are trying to be reunified with their family of the injured. We have crews there at the Civic Center who have been speaking with parents who have been picking up their children, trying to, again, be reunified with them. A lot of these parents maybe showing up and being sent somewhere else, which is terrifying for any parent, any family member to hear. Like you were saying, this is a small community. A lot of people were raised there. They grew up there. Everyone's connected in some way.
Right. And then not knowing if your child, and now having discovered that 14 children were killed, you know, the condition of your child. How is your child? Parents are at Memorial Hospital where 13 children are being treated, and possibly only 12 now that we know one has passed away. And we are waiting to hear from the superintendent as more details on this. Governor Abbott has just spoken. We are getting those remarks ready for you right now. But he is the one who confirmed 14 children dead, the shooter is dead, a teacher is dead. Vanessa Croy is at the scene at the school. Let's go back to her live. Vanessa, are law enforcement still inside the school?
Looks like we're having some technical difficulties with her audio, but as you can see, it's still a very, very active scene there. Vanessa's been on the scene since this unfolded about an hour after it all began. Hopefully we can get her back with us because she has been there on the ground all afternoon.
She has. Of course, Uvalde is about an hour and a half away, and once we heard about this, it all started about noon, we dispatched our crews, and they are all now in Uvalde. There's another law enforcement pulling up.
State trooper.
State trooper.
And we know the FBI arrived on scene. We know DPS has taken over the investigation. Uvalde PD was the first responding law enforcement agency. SAPD, their SWAT team was there on site. BCSO was also sending help. We know San Antonio Fire, and then multiple law enforcement agencies were helping out. I know other schools in this district were asked to pick up their children at the regular release time. There will be no buses, so parents will need to go there. There will be law enforcement there, not to be alarmed, but it's to for everyone's safety.
Let's go to Vanessa now. Let's see. Vanessa?
I just wanted to say a few words. We're back out here live at the school. I just heard the devastating news at the same time you did. In the last 20 minutes or so, I hope I can say this, keeping it together, a parent came out here still looking for his child. I can't imagine what these families are going through right now, especially at this time, wondering where your child is at this hour. I do want to show you what's happening behind me right now. Looks like the focus of the investigation looks like a command center is set up behind the school. That's where the majority of law enforcement is staged back there. We did see the FBI is here. We can confirm that. And I did see 2 FBI crime investigation agents just walk down the street to approach the crime scene. Multiple law enforcement agencies have been out here today. I was out here just shortly after we heard at first the suspect was in custody. Now we're learning that suspect has died. It was shortly after that. It was when many of the law enforcement officers were walking out of that school, and visibly from their faces, I could tell that this was horrific. That was actually the words of the Uvalde County Sheriff today. When I arrived here today, I asked him, I know he said he couldn't share any information. They were still trying to figure out what happened. And he told me, this is horrific. Our worst nightmare has come true out here today. And our prayers are with this community. This is a very tight-knit community out here, and truly hurting right now. Deb and Audrey, I'm going to send it back to you.
Oh, it is. Everyone is hurting, and I can't imagine that community. 14 children confirmed dead, 1 teacher and the suspect. Of course, all I can think of, anything comparable to this, is the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting where 20 children were killed, and we have 14 now here in Texas in Uvalde. Here's Governor Greg Abbott.
It was Salvador Ramos, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that is not yet confirmed according to my most recent report. He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher. Mr. Ramos, the shooter, he himself is deceased. And is believed that responding officers killed him. The shooter was Salvador Ramos, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and
Ramos, but
All right. So, like you just heard from the governor, Salvador Ramos, an 18-year-old is the shooter, confirmed shooter. The governor says that he entered the school with the handgun, possibly another weapon, but they have not confirmed that. And we just learned that there were 14 students killed. One teacher was killed, and that responding officers were able to shoot and kill Salvador Ramos, who was the suspected shooter there at the active shooter situation.
And we are now looking live at Robb Elementary, the back of the school in Uvalde, where a command center has been set up. There's a tent set up there. We believe that most of those students and the teacher are still in the school, which is why we saw so many officers in the FBI go into the school. And the 13 who were transported injured to the hospital. One child died there. But we believe most of the victims are still in the school, and they have set up an area there where they will be bringing them out.
And we do know that one woman, a 66-year-old, is in critical condition at University Hospital, as well as one child who was injured was transported there. We don't know their status at this point, but we are waiting to hear from officials there in Uvalde. They are at Willie DeLeon Civic Center, where they are gathering, and they are supposed to be briefing media in just moments. I saw Vanessa Croy there at Robb Elementary School. Vanessa, that scene's still very active, and from what we can see, it seems like that investigation is taking place on the backside of the school.
Well, that's right, Audrey. From where we're standing, we are actually in the front of the school, but we can see it looks like somewhat of a command center back there where they have a staging area. It looks like the source of the investigation is focused back there. That's where those law enforcement officers, you see them standing under that canopy tent. We know that FBI is here, Border Patrol, DPS. We don't know who is leading the investigation. Once FBI arrived, we assume they are. We heard earlier DPS could be a joint investigation. We know the Texas Rangers are here, as well as local law enforcement, Uvalde County Sheriff's Office, Uvalde City Police. No doubt there is DPS as well. Many of these troopers are from this area. Many of these Border Patrol agents are from Uvalde. Their children most likely attend some of them at this elementary school. So it is a very difficult, I can tell you just from seeing the officers' faces walk out of that school building shortly after that suspect. We thought at first he was in custody, just seeing their faces, how difficult it was for them to see whatever unfolded, to see the aftermath of whatever unfolded inside that school building earlier today.
Much, Vanessa. And like we just learned from the governor, 14 students dead after that active shooter situation at Robb Elementary School. One teacher dead. The suspect, an 18-year-old shooter, also dead, shot by responding officers. We're learned from the governor that that 18-year-old, who is also a resident of Uvalde, entered the school with a handgun and possibly another weapon.
Yes, and I was just looking over timelines here of mass shootings in schools, and only 2 in elementary schools.
To University Hospital, a 66-year-old woman is in critical condition and a 10-year-old girl in critical condition. But Uvalde Memorial Hospital taking the bulk of those victims.
Okay. Yes, we are. There is someone in front of our camera right there. This is a live picture at the elementary school where all of this happened. We do have cameras set up, and we're getting ready to go inside the Civic Center there in Uvalde to bring you the news conference live from the superintendent there. Our cameras right there are set up at Robb Elementary School, but we have cameras at the De Leon Civic Center where we are expecting to get an update from Dr. Harrell.
Well, we did just learn through their Facebook page that they're going to be holding those press conferences through Facebook Live, through PD's Facebook, right, and through their.
Oh, say less.
I don't know it wasn't very clear if they were going to let media in or if because of security they were moving to just a live. Okay,
Yes, we are.
do have
We do.
crews in.
We do have a crew in there, and so we will be able to bring you that news conference on air, as it is also streamed out on social media. And we have Alicia De Leon. I mean, rather Vanessa.
Alicia Nieves,
Alicia
who is
Nieves.
there at the Civic
Yes.
Center. We're waiting
And Victoria
to go.
De Leon,
and Victoria De Leon, both there. And here's a live picture of the Willie De Leon Civic Center where law enforcement officials, school officials, we're going to go live now.
Good afternoon. I'm Anne Marie Espinoza, Executive Director of Communications and Marketing for Uvalde CISD. Please understand at this time, we will be making a statement and not taking any questions. So we please ask, at this time, we will be making a statement and not taking any questions. Here to provide a statement is our Uvalde CISD Chief of Police, Pete Arredondo.
Good afternoon. As she mentioned, I'm going to make a statement, and at this point, we won't take any questions. We will give you a time, but we'll be addressing the media soon. At approximately 11:32 a.m. this morning, there was a mass casualty incident at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. This school has children that are in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. I can confirm right now that we have several injuries, adults and students, and we do have some deaths. The suspect is deceased at this point. DPS is assisting with the investigation. And at this point, the investigation is leading to tell us that the suspect did act alone during this heinous crime. Families are being notified, and we are providing services to them as the district should. As far as the rest of the district is concerned, safety measures were taken to make sure that we had a safe release for the rest of the district throughout our city of Uvalde. And we had numerous law enforcement officers and agencies that assisted with the safety release for those students. We do want to keep all their families in their prayers. I hope you do as well. And we also want to respect the privacy of the family. The crime scene is still being worked on. And again, we'll notify the parents and the families as soon as we have some news for them. Thank you so much.
We greatly appreciate standing and patience with us. Please know at this time, we are only making a statement. We will be releasing more information as the investigation continues. We appreciate your courtesy. At this time, it concludes our press conference. Thank you.
We just heard from Pete Arredondo, the UCISD Chief of Police. He said that active shooter situation that started around 11:32 this morning there at Robb Elementary School, which houses 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders. He says DPS is assisting. They believe that suspect, the 18-year-old suspect who is dead, acted alone in this active shooter situation. They only wanted to make a statement. They did not take questions from the media. They said families of the injured and deceased are being notified at this time, so they are trying to respect those families.
Right. People are still finding out. The parents of those 14 children that were killed and one teacher so far. And the police chief said that the shooter, 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, acted alone. Walked into the school.
Oh, say less!
Teacher, and then he was shot and killed by law enforcement there. He came. Victoria De Leon is live in Uvalde. Let's go to her right now.
Hey, Deborah, yeah, just to kind of recap, it was a very short press conference, not a lot of information that we didn't already know. We do know now, though, that the shooter acted alone, and there are multiple injuries, and of course, those 14 students dead and one teacher. We are now inside of the Civic Center where we passed by a couple of parents, families, loved ones of the Uvalde elementary school community. We also learned that the elementary school runs from up until 4th grade, so the youngest of those students impacted maybe 9, 10 years old. So we're going to stay out here at Uvalde for the rest of the day and continue to bring you those updates as we learn more.
Thank you so much. Right now, we want to go to Henry Ramos, who is at Uvalde Memorial Hospital. He has an update for us. That's where a lot of those victims were taken earlier today. Henry.
Yeah, Audrey, I actually just spoke with a grandmother who just walked across the street from the hospital with some good news. I just interviewed her. She told me that her grandson survived. He was shot. She said that he was shot. The bullet kind of hit him right here along the leg area. It didn't hit any bones, and it just kind of went through, is what she said. But she said the way that her grandson, who's a fifth grader at Robb Elementary, described what was happening, he said they were all hiding in his classroom, obviously scared. And he told his grandmother, he said, "Grandma, it sounded like fireworks was going off. It was just nonstop." And she said that that he was shot once. He was taken here at the hospital. The grandmother named Hilda, when she got the news that there was a shooting at Robb Elementary, she called her daughter and the grandmother, just hysterical. She said, she's like, "You know what? I just got in the car. I just knew that I was going to go to the school. I was going to make sure that my grandson was okay." He was brought here at the hospital. She said for the most part, he is in good spirits. He's doing okay as best that he can. Also realizing that a lot of his classmates, didn't make it, as we've been reporting, 14 children passing away here, and a lot of the children, though, taken here. But her grandson did survive. And she said, Henry, this is something that we just, and something that we have been hearing, something that I have been sharing, and talking with different people, is that they didn't expect for something like this to happen, especially given at any point, really at any point, but given that this was the last week of school. But she said her grandson just left the hospital here, and he actually walked out with a couple of police officers, I believe from Uvalde. He walked out with them. And I told her if we could share that photo with all of you. And so she said she's going to send it to me here shortly. She's actually on her way to her grandson's home just to be with him. She said she's going to hug him a little bit tighter. And she did want me to say that, for a lot of people who are watching that are not from South Central Texas, who are not from Texas, who don't know Uvalde, right? We've been saying tight-knit community, but those watching across the nation, this is the type of community that knows everyone. This is the type of community, as I mentioned, that when something good happens, they're together. But when something bad happens, they're even more together. And she said, Henry, we're going to come out stronger because of this. Right now, all we need, and she said, all we need is prayers. Because the reality is, she says, I'm lucky as a grandmother. I'm able to leave with the good news that my grandson survived. He's okay. But that is not the case. Not the case for a lot of family members, knowing that their loved one, children who just went to school, did not make it out. And that's the sad part. In terms of traffic, I can tell you there's not that much out here. You still have law enforcement, but I have noticed a lot of law enforcement that was here has since left. I don't know if that indicates anything. You can actually see, it looks like a few law enforcement just exiting right now of the hospital parking lot. I can see some flashing lights here. I know this right here is a law enforcement vehicle. It's an unmarked one, but I do see some more that are leaving here with their emergency lights on. But we do have police here that are just guarding the scene here. A lot of family members just walking across. Again, some with good news, others not so much. But that's the latest that I have for you here from Uvalde Memorial. Audrey and Deborah.
And Henry, wow, amazing that that student was able to tell his grandma all of those details. Was he able to say what class he was in? Was he in a gym class? Was he in the cafeteria? Or was this isolated to just one classroom? I'm sure there was a lot going on, but I don't know if he was able to relay that.
Yeah, I did ask Audrey, what other details or what else did he tell her? And obviously, as you can imagine, their priority for these families is to make sure they're okay. And so he didn't reveal much. I know that she did say that he was in his classroom. Whether it was isolated to that classroom, I don't know. Or if the gunman was going elsewhere, that's something I don't know. But what I do know is that he did say that he was in the classroom hiding with other students, and told his grandmother that it sounded like fireworks were going off, that it was just repeatedly, it was nonstop. and that's what he heard. And as I mentioned, he was just kind of shot once in the leg area. Had some treatment here at Uvalde Memorial, which we know several other students were taking here, as well as others who were injured in this shooting. And but as I mentioned, thankfully for this family and for this grandmother, this fifth grader was able to walk out of here.
He was a fifth grader? We had heard there were only second, third, and fourth graders at the school.
What's that, Deborah?
Henry, did you say he was a fifth grader? We had been told that
that's what
he's a fourth grader. Okay, there were only second, third, and fourth graders at the school, and most of the injuries that we know about so far are fourth graders. So I don't know if the gunman was concentrated in that area. This little boy was in his classroom where he was shot. Is that correct, Henry?
Yes, that's correct. And she did say fifth grade. That's from what I was told, Deborah, but I don't know about the or what the gunman's focus was on, but that's what I was told from the grandmother.
Okay. All right, Henry, thank you. Well, we've just gotten word from CBS that President Biden has been informed about the shooting, and he plans to address the nation this evening. He plans to speak this evening when he is back at the White House. And now we are going to go to Vanessa Croy. She is, no, we don't have Vanessa. Okay.
Yeah. But just a devastating day for the city of Uvalde. Again, there were 14 students killed, 1 teacher killed. That suspect was shot and killed by law enforcement. A suspect said to be an 18-year-old resident of Uvalde, and they believe he acted alone. DPS is assisting. We just heard from Pete Arredondo, who is the police chief of UCISD, who made a statement, but they were not taking any questions as to respect the victims of those families. So still a lot of unknown in this, ever developing situation.
And they are still informing families as right now. That's what the police chief said, these 14 children and the teacher. So Vanessa Croy, who has been at Robb Elementary all afternoon, has told us, I'm sorry, I'm being told, what is that? Monica? Okay. Vanessa told us that parents are showing up as recently as 30 minutes ago at the school, waiting for some word about their children. It's just heartbreaking. It really is just hard to. Okay, all right, Vanessa, we're going to go to Vanessa Croy now live at Robb Elementary. Vanessa.
Well, that's right, Deborah. In the last hour, we've seen families coming up here asking where their children are at this hour. We just had a group standing behind us wondering, where do they go? What do they do? They've been to the Civic Center. Where do they go next? All that we can tell you is that there are plans in place to create another staging area, but that's all we can tell you right now. DPS has not confirmed anything to us where that will be and when that will be. As soon as we get it, we'll definitely share it. We have been asked to move back a little bit from the front of the school. We were just in front of that sign, the sign on the corner a few minutes ago, but we were asked to move back because the crime scene investigation is going to extend further toward this side of the school. Now you can see in the front of the school, we have a little bit better perspective now from where we're standing. That is San Antonio SWAT team in that the large Humvee vehicle out there. We saw the DEA here earlier today. We know the FBI crime scene investigative unit is here as well. We do know that most of the investigation is focused on the back of the school. We can't see where that law enforcement group is gathered any longer since we had to change positions, but you can see a canopy behind the school towards the back. I believe earlier somebody said the teacher's parking lot. Audrey said the teacher's parking lot. So
now, first up, we have Chief William McManus. He tweeted this out. He said, SAPD has sent resources to an active shooter at Robb Elementary in Uvalde and is standing by to assist as further needed.
Yes, San Antonio immediately sent people, and so did CSO. They sent units as well. And we are hearing from officials. This was sent out earlier by Chief McManus. We also have heard from County Judge Nelson Wolf on this terribly tragic day. Judge Wolf saying, it is with profound grief and broken hearts that we learn about the news coming this way this afternoon, our way. We stand united with the community in Uvalde and offer our assistance. And as We heard from Uvalde officials. They are asking for prayers, and families are still being notified about their children.
And Judge Wolf, he did go on to say, we also mourn with them over the lives of those children and adults lost to violence. Bexar County is sending personnel and material from the Office of Emergency Management, the Medical Examiner's Office, the Sheriff's Office, and University Hospital to support the ongoing operation. So a lot of neighboring communities, not just San Antonio, not just Bexar County, also assisting this afternoon.
Right. Well, let's go back live to Henry Ramos. He is outside the Uvalde Memorial Hospital. Henry.
Yeah, Audrey and Deborah. So I've just been talking to just messaging the first grandmother that I spoke with on the way here, whose grandson, I think I told you about him, JJ, who was able to escape from a window at Robb Elementary with the help of his father, who saved other children as well. Pulled them out of the window from their classroom. She said that she's at home with him right now, and I'm asking her, like, how is he doing? And she said that he's okay, that he actually knew the teacher that was killed. Do not believe that it was his teacher as well, but just trying to gain a little bit of more insight as to those chaotic moments of what happened inside that school. As for here outside the hospital, I can tell you a lot of vehicles have left. We've seen, as I've been here, we've seen a lot of family members just leaving, walking in and out. Just for my last time I was here with you all, I did speak to a grandmother who walked out, just telling me that her 9-year-old grandson survived. He was inside Robb Elementary. He was shot once, I think she had mentioned just in the leg area. And he received some treatment here, as well as several other students who were taken here to Memorial Hospital here in Uvalde. And, just trying to get as much context and insight as I can, and talking to these family members as to what their loved ones are saying as to what happened inside the school. He just mentioned to me, and I know I'd mentioned this, but the only thing he could say is that he told his grandmother that it just sounded like fireworks just going off as he was in his classroom. He said they were hiding there with other students as well. And he was able to walk out with police officers here at the hospital. Of course, her priority as a grandmother was to take him to go meet him at home. And he just said the thing that he just wanted to do was to rest. And but of course, you do think about those other family members who aren't fortunate. And for some, they're still waiting for answers. Others receiving the bad news that their loved one didn't make it here. As you can see, just right back this way to your left over here, you can see what appears to be at least loved ones. The community here could be family members. And that's what we have seen just walking across here, as we do have law enforcement blocking traffic from either side here as loved ones show up here at the hospital. I will tell you, though, probably about an hour ago, consistently, I was seeing the chopper, Air Life, land here at Memorial Hospital. I mean, it was kind of like on a rotational basis. It was nonstop. That's something that I have not seen in quite some time. From the last time we were here, you all were here with us, we also had seen the law enforcement agencies leave. So I don't know if that really does indicate something here, but it does show that at least that they are leaving here from the hospital, which has been quite a scene. As you can see, the parking lot is still full, but this hospital receiving a lot of the patients as well. But that's kind of what we're seeing from our end. Of course, as more family members do show up, I will do very politely and respectfully, ask them and try to gain a little bit more insight as much as I can from them as to what happened on this day. Audrey and Deborah.
Thanks so much, Henry. And we did have questions about those 2 pending transfers, so we can only assume that possibly that could be it. But we want to take you back over the situation, how it unfolded today. We heard from Pete Arredondo, the UCISD chief of police. He said that all of this unfolded around 11:32 a.m. at Robb's Elementary School there in Uvalde. And that school, it houses 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders. Now, the police chief says that that's when the suspect, who is named Salvador Ramos, 18 years old, a local there, entered the school with a gun. Now, we don't know if it was 1 gun, 2 guns, but they did say that he did act alone. We learned that 14 students were killed, 1 teacher is dead, and police were able to kill that shooter, 18-year-old Ramos.
And right now, the Robb Elementary School is surrounded with crime scene tape. And inside, the FBI and law enforcement are processing that scene. Vanessa Croy is at the scene right now. Vanessa? She has been there all day at Robb Elementary, driving there from San Antonio an hour and a half right after we got the news. Vanessa?
Well, that's right, Deborah. We did get the news shortly after the first calls came in today, and I jumped in the car and came out here not knowing exactly what to expect. When I got out here today, I can tell you when I arrived, they hadn't really even blocked the road off yet. Parents were lined up trying to figure out what was happening. The street was lined with community members and families trying to find out what was going on. All that they knew is that there was some kind of active shooter inside their child's school. And I can tell you, I was standing on the corner right there when many law enforcement officers walked out of that school, tears in their eyes. You could see in their faces something horrific had happened inside that school building today. In fact, that's exactly what Uvalde County Sheriff Nolasco told me when I talked to him right before I arrived, that this was just horrific. He said, our worst nightmare happened today. And now that we're learning about those deaths today, and the children and the teacher just hitting this community devastatingly hard. There are other community members here standing behind our cameras. We've also seen parents come up here trying to find out where their children are. They don't know where to go. They've been to the Civic Center, they've been to another area, and they're trying to find somebody to help them find their child and find out where they are. Many people have asked us out here what's happening inside that school building right now. We don't know. All that we can tell you is that it's an active investigation. The FBI is here. The crime scene unit is here. I know that assisting in the investigation is Border Patrol, FBI once again, DPS, Texas Rangers are also here, and the local law enforcement. Hit really hard, of course, because this is their community. They were the first ones that went inside that school building today. Uvalde police, I saw them walk out of that building today before a lot of the extra help arrived. DPS, a lot of these DPS troopers are local. These Border Patrol agents, they are from this area, and just seeing their faces was devastating today. And now that we understand what unfolded in that building, we can definitely see why. I think we had some video of before we even realized we saw officers hugging and praying in the streets. What they saw inside definitely very difficult for them. Audrey and Deb, we're going to send it back to you. Once again, we are waiting for some more details. One last detail before we go. I just talked to a DPS. They said they're working on a new staging area. They are going to release that information soon, and we will get that to you as soon as I have it. I'm just waiting to hear from them any minute now with that information, where that will be, and we can let those parents know where to go at this hour.
All right, Vanessa, thank you.
Lots of heavy hearts in Uvalde this evening and surrounding communities. But we do know that University Hospital here in San Antonio, they also got 2 transports, a 66-year-old woman in critical condition and a 10-year-old girl also in critical condition. And we learned that the San Antonio Blood Bank also transferred 13 units of blood. We want to go over to Troy Kless, who is there at the blood bank, with an update on that and their needs. Troy.
Audrey, thank you. Yeah, we are here where it was within an hour of getting the call about the shooting that South Texas Blood Bank was able to send initially 15 units by helicopter. They were able to get to Uvalde Memorial Hospital within just 45 minutes after getting that call. And, you know, even when we came down here to talk to South Texas Blood Bank about this, there were people that were actively donating that their blood could be going there tomorrow as well. So we did actually learn that there were an additional 10 there tomorrow as well. Negative blood that were sent later in the afternoon. Again, all were sent to Uvalde Memorial Hospital to assist them with the response to this traumatic experience that first responders and healthcare workers are going to have to deal with right now. So there is, of course, a huge call for anyone with any blood type that can donate right now. We actually did just learn within the last hour that tomorrow in Uvalde there is going to be an emergency blood drive held from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Herbie Ham Activity Center. Again, that's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow. Again, any blood type, all people can be accepted. You don't have to sign up or do anything. But people around San Antonio and all across South Texas, they're going to be able to help. If you want to be able to donate at a time when, blood supplies are at pretty low levels right now, you can go center to you in that way.
Okay, Troy, we're having a little trouble with the audio, but we got the main message, the very important message that blood is needed, and there will be a blood drive in Uvalde from 9 to 1 tomorrow at the Herbie Ham Community Center. Well, if you are just now joining us, we want to bring you up to date on what has been happening in Uvalde since 11:32 this morning, when a gunman, an 18-year-old resident of Uvalde, walked into Robb Elementary School with a handgun and possibly a shotgun and began shooting. Robb Elementary School, home to 600 students, second, third, and fourth grade students. He killed 14 of those students and a teacher, and then law enforcement shot and killed him. 13 students were taken to Uvalde Memorial Hospital. A 66-year-old woman and a 10-year-old child were brought here to San Antonio. They're both in critical condition.
And lots of officials from around the area, around the region, state, local, national, responding. Want to go to a comment from Mayor Ron Nirenberg about the situation that unfolded there in Uvalde. The mayor said, quote, "Uvalde is experiencing the sickening aftermath of a horrific mass shooting. At least 14 children and a teacher are gone. Pray for the loss, their families, and Uvalde." And of course, we did hear a brief statement from Pete Arredondo, who is a UCISD chief of police. But again, Mayor Ron Nirenberg, he did say San Antonio has sent mass casualty resources to the region and will do all that we can to help our neighbors to heal. But we did have a brief press conference, less than 5 minutes. The UCISD police chief did speak, and he said at 11:32 a.m. That suspect walked into Robb Elementary School that houses second, third, and fourth grade students. That suspect, Salvador Ramos, 18 years old, a local Uvalde.
All right, guys. I am going to interrupt this stream briefly because we actually have Kamala Harris speaking on this situation. So we're gonna go to that stream really quick, guys. Man, this is wild, bruh. But we're gonna listen to what Kamala Harris has to say about this. It just seems timed so crazily, but anyways.
United States Vice President Kamala Harris.
Thank you. Please sit, everyone. Thank you. What an incredible room. And Judy Chu, thank you for that introduction and for your leadership on so many levels. Tonight's a rough night. We planned for a great celebration, but I'm sure most of you have heard the tragic news about what has happened in Texas. So I had prepared comments about tonight, which I will speak, but I just first want to begin by saying a few words about the tragedy that occurred today in Uvalde, Texas. As many of you know, the reports are that it was a mass shooting at an elementary school, and the preliminary reports are that 14 children have been killed. And the details are still coming in, and of course the president and I are monitoring the situation closely. So while we don't know all the details yet, we do know that there are parents who have lost children, families that have lost children, and their loved ones, of course, and many others who may have been injured. So I would normally say in a moment like this, we would all say naturally that our hearts break, but our hearts keep getting broken. You know, I think there's so many elected leaders in this room, you know what I'm talking about. Every time a tragedy like this happens, our hearts break. And our broken hearts are nothing compared to the broken hearts of those families. And yet it keeps happening. So I think we all know and have said many times with each other, enough is enough. Enough is enough. As a nation, we have to have the courage to take action and understand the nexus between what makes for reasonable and sensible public policy to ensure something like this never happens again. So the president will speak more about this later. But for now, I will just say to the people of Uvalde, please know that this is a room full of leaders who grieve with you. And we are praying for you, and we stand with you. And it is difficult at a time like this to think about much else, but I do look around this room, and I know who is here, and I know this is a room full of American leaders who know and have the courage to take a stand. And so let us tonight, as we do every time we all get together, recommit ourselves to having the courage to take action. And so that does bring me to the leaders who are in this room and the leaders of APAX. And again, I want to thank Chairwoman Judy Chu for that kind introduction. As a former member of KPAC, I had the opportunity to see her leadership firsthand, and she is truly a national leader who lifts up the people of our country. And of course, I'm honored tonight to be with Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland, APAC's board chair Susan Jin Davis, and all of the federal, state, and local elected officials who are.
All right, guys. Well, that was pretty uneventful. I don't know if somebody wrote that for her. It looked like she was doing the old look at this screen, look at that screen, but that was horrible. That was horrible. You know, she probably shouldn't even addressed it. Okay.
The resident entered with a gun, possibly another weapon, and shot up that school. We don't know exactly where he entered. We don't know what classroom he entered, but we do know there were 14 casualty students. We know there was one teacher dead. And we know that there is 2 other people in San Antonio. We want to go to some of that sound from earlier.
Good afternoon. I'm Anne Marie Espinoza, Executive Director of Communications and Marketing for Uvalde CISD. Please understand at this time, we will be making a statement and not taking any questions. So we please ask, at this time, we will be making a statement and not taking any questions. Here to provide a statement is our Uvalde CISD Chief of Police, Pete Arredondo.
Good afternoon. As she mentioned, I'm going to make a statement, and at this point, won't take any questions. We will give you a time when we'll be addressing the media soon. At approximately 11:32 a.m. this morning, there was a mass casualty incident at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. This school has children that are in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. I can confirm right now that we have several injuries, adults and students, and we do have some deaths. The suspect is deceased at this point. DPS is assisting with the investigation. And at this point, the investigation is leading to tell us that the suspect did act alone during this heinous crime. Families are being notified, and we are providing services to them as the district should. As far as the rest of the district is current safety measures were taken to make sure that we had a safe release for the rest of the district, throughout our city of Uvalde. And we had numerous law enforcement officers and agencies that assisted with the safety release for those students. We do want to keep all their families in their prayers. I hope you do as well. And we also want to respect the privacy of the family. The crime scene is still being worked on. And again, we'll notify the parents and the families as soon as we have some news for them. Thank you so much.
We greatly appreciate understanding and patience with us. Please know at this time, we are only making a statement. We will be releasing more information as the investigation continues. We appreciate your courtesy. At this time, it concludes our press conference. Thank you.
Well, that was UCISD Police Chief Pete Arredondo. And as you saw, a very short statement there. We did hear from the governor, though, that 14 students were killed and a teacher. And we have just gotten word that Bexar County has sent the medical examiner to Uvalde, to Robb Elementary School, where we believe the students and the teachers remain inside that school. They have set up a staging area there, and it is all taped off with crime tape.
We want to get out to Vanessa Croy, who's there at Robb Elementary School and has an update for us right now about that scene. Vanessa.
Well, they just asked us to move where we were standing on the corner a few minutes ago, and you can see what's pulling up over here. We haven't confirmed exactly what's going on. All that we were told when we were asked to move is that they were moving the investigation to the front of the school. We did see the Bexar County Medical Examiner pull up about 5 minutes ago. We've seen officials from the Texas Department of Emergency Management also here. That's along with this investigation with DEA is here, FBI is here, DPS has been here all afternoon, along with Border Patrol and local law enforcement. As the events were unfolding inside this elementary school today. We're also seeing parents that are coming up here to the school, trying to find out, ask questions, where are their children? We've seen half a dozen, maybe more parents come up here in the last hour asking law enforcement here how to find their children. They've been to the Civic Center, they've been to another area, and they have not been able to find them yet. I did talk to DPS. They said they are creating a new staging area. We're still trying to confirm where that is. As soon as we hear from DPS, we'll let you know as soon as we hear from them. I know that is in the works right now because we want to make sure that we can tell these parents something who are just hurting so much right now, trying to find out where their child is at this hour.
We just can't even imagine. And that large truck appears to be possibly a refrigerated morgue that has pulled up next to Robb Elementary School. And if you're just joining us now for Eyewitness News at 5 o'clock, we are covering a horrific story, one of the worst mass school shootings in the U.S. history, the worst in Texas history. 14 students killed today by a lone gunman, an 18-year-old Uvalde resident who walked into Robb Elementary and shot and killed those students and a teacher. And that suspect was killed then by law enforcement.
All right, guys. So I have breaking news. I ended up getting this guy's social media. And wow, this is so fucking crazy. All right, let's get into it. So he actually posted this. He posted this on his social media. I guess it's a selfie, right? He kind of looks like a fucking burrito McJagger or some shit in the face. And he posts the straps. Okay. So this is his social media. And then what happened was he tagged this girl, EP Nupes. He tagged this girl. All right. Yes, it gets weird, guys. It gets weird. So we have that. Then look, he DMs this girl. Peep this, DMs the girl. She is posting I don't know what's going on with her. She got a GoFundMe, raising a GoFundMe for the burial of, I guess, a family member. Okay, and she posted this. When did she post a GoFundMe? Let me see. Okay, so she posted the GoFundMe May 12th. All right, so. But anyways, the GoFundMe is kind of irrelevant unless y'all want to donate to like funding the burial of her family member, which she asking for. They asking for 35,000. It only take 5 bands to bury somebody, honestly. But anyways, I digress. So in the story, he's DMing her. He says, "Hey, you gonna repost my gun pics?" She says, "What?" He puts a question mark on, "You gonna repost my gun pics?" She said, "What? What's your guns got to do with me?" He said, "Just wanted to tag you." She said, "I'm so confused." Okay. Then I don't know, he sent a screenshot or whatever of him posting her. And then she says, "But why?" He said, "I don't know. Be grateful I tagged you." She said, "No, it's just scary for real." He says, "How?" She said, "I barely know you and you tagged me in a picture with some guns." He said, "Ugh, I guess." Then he goes, "Hey." And she says, "Hello." I mean, she's still texting the man. She's still texting the man, which is crazy to me. I mean, she should have blocked him, right? And I guess his name is the biggest op. So this is that op culture. I told you. Niggas just want to have ops. Okay, guys, hit the super trap, hit the Cash App, hit the PayPal. I know I've been in and out of this mug, but I wanted y'all to get what the news was getting. I didn't want to do too much interrupting, but I've been like doing some research on the back end, and this is what's going on, guys. This is what's going on. So she's still texting him, "Hello," and then he said, "I'm about to," and I guess she cut it off then. He said, "I'm about to," and then we don't see anymore. She says, "He's a stranger. I know nothing about him. He decided to tag me in his gun post. I'm so sorry for the victims and their families. I really don't know what to say." Well, that was better than what Kamala Harris said. So watch, all right? He says, "I'm about to," and then she says, "What? About to what?" "Good morning." And then he said, "I'll tell you before 11. Then he says, "Good morning." She says, "Good morning. What?" He said, "I'll text you in an hour." She says, "Okay, okay." He says, "But you have to respond. I got a little secret." Damn. And this is at 7:33 a.m. This is fucking crazy, y'all. The news ain't gonna tell you this. The news ain't gonna tell you this. This is incel activity, y'all. And we can say, "Oh, mental health." This is one of them 18 to 31-year-old versions. Just like Peyton Gendron, wasn't getting no pussy, was like trying to get at some bitches, I guess. This guy trying to get at this shorty right here. And what the he's talking about he got a little secret. That's crazy. And then he said, "I'll text you in an hour." She says, "Okay, okay." He said, "But you have to respond. I got a little secret I want to tell you." And he's giggling about this shit. He's giggling about this shit. She said, "I might be taking a nap because I'm really sick, but if I'm awake, I will." Why is she still? This is crazy to me. Like that she's still conversing with this man. He says, "Bet." She says, "Bet." Like what the hell? She was slick. She was slick giving him the time of day. Like, and this nigga don't got no followers, bruh. Let me get his hold on, let me see if I can pause this. Salvador So we got a whole bunch of, okay, so this, oh wow. So was he really, let's say Salvador, he only had one underscore. I'm just trying to find his actual IG. Damn, and now look, oh my God, these people ain't shit. Bro, now everybody's trying to make like an IG page of him. Like, it's fucking disgusting out here, y'all. They do anything for clout. They do anything for clout. But anyways, he says, I'ma air out. I'ma air out. And y'all know what air out means. If you watch my channel, guys, are we back on? Are we back on? My bad. My internet just jumped in and jumped out. They trying to inhibit the message. Shit. Let me get this out quick. So air out. Okay. What does air out mean? What does air out mean in the Urban Dictionary? Shout out to Tina Agerson with the $20 super sticker. I appreciate it, Tina.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Where we at? Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We outside!
Yes. We are outside, man. I am about to bring you guys some hard-hitting stuff that nobody else got this, bro. Nobody else got this. I mean, they do on the internet slick, but nobody's talking about it. The news ain't talking about it. Guys, so what does air out mean? He says, I'm a air out. What does air out mean? Okay. This is what air out means. Air out means to bust a cap or send bullets through a house or car's windows, thus clearing all humans out of the space. For example, Tony had to air out Bob's house last night because Bob fucked his girl. Okay? So that's what air out means. That's what air out means. So he tells his girl he's about to air out. She said, "What? Hi." She said, "The only reason I responded to him was because I was afraid of him. I wish I stayed awake to at least try to convince him to not commit his crime. I didn't know." I don't know, bro. She might have been feeling him because she was going back and forth with him, all types of shit. I don't know, bro. Like, my thing is, dude, as hard as it is for these girls to get to respond in the DMs when you're a sane guy. You know what I mean? You're a sane guy. As hard as it is to get a girl to respond, I don't know, bro. She talking about, oh, the only reason I responded, bullshit. Come on, bro. You got all these dudes in your DMs not even making it through the DMs. There's no way, like, it wasn't like he was clouded up or some shit. So why are you responding? Like, that's some bullshit, bro. That's some bullshit. That is some bullshit. Like, she really gonna act like, oh, I only responded. What? You respond? Like, seriously.
She belongs to the street.
Like, bro, come on, bro. Okay, anyways, I don't know him and I don't even live in Texas. People are saying you're his girlfriend and you're at the high school finishing it. Oh, hell no, they wilding. On God, we thought that too in Carrizo. Where's Carrizo? In Texas, we didn't know if you were trying to finish the job. OMG, girl, don't repost me with my user. Wow. So people jumping into conclusions. And it looks like she's using it for clout. Honestly, she's saving the story up there. I mean, she a cute girl, little gothic, little gothic ting. The piercing is OD, Shorty looked like she doing the anime thing with an Android camera. You know what I mean? She probably she needs some management. Honestly, she needs some management. She needs somebody to, you need to get a DSLR. You need to get a camera that shoots in 1080p because these struggle Android pictures ain't doing it. But definitely a cute chick. But yeah, that's it, man. That's it. And then I wanted to show you guys this as well. When you look for this dude's, when you search this motherfucker's name, everybody's trying to like make a page of it. Okay. Everybody, look how many biggest ops. Look, guys, are you kidding me? Okay, so that one, I guess that one was taken down. Like, people are trying to, I guess, act like they're his page and get clout from his page. Let's see if we can get in any of these stories. So that one was taken down. And Instagram's taking some of them down, definitely. But wow, isn't that crazy? Oh shit, hold on. Yeah, that's crazy. That went straight to my IG page. But anyways, yeah, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. So yeah, that's the story. I guess he did it to impress a bitch. Honestly, that he didn't even know. They saying 18 kids dead now. Are they? Hold on, let me confirm that. Let's see. Last update that I got is 14 still. Oh, never mind. 14 minutes ago, 18 children killed. God damn. Motherfuck. This shit crazy. 18 children killed, guys. At an elementary school. This motherfucker really did that shit over you really can't say he did it over a bitch, but I guess he did it to impress a bitch on some shit. Like, I don't know what the fuck that was, honestly. Like, what are you like? What the hell do y'all think that is? Like, bruh, just I don't know what the hell that shit is. And now they trying to send me the ads. Jesus. Yeah, these motherfuckers is weird as hell, bruh. These motherfuckers are weird as hell, man. It's so crazy out here. It's so crazy. And then, like, Shorty is finna really use this shit for clout. That's the funniest part. Like, yeah, you blanked out your, and I'm not saying she is culpable in any way, but it's just like, oh my God, this shit crazy. I don't know what the hell is going on though. I'm looking at, let's see. Yeah, she definitely, oh wow. I'm gonna just tell you what, man, these kids nowadays are weird and way too grown. Weird and way too grown. Like, but yeah, so like I said, Buddy posted the picture. And then he went in Shorty's DMs, tagged her in the DMs. And the rest is history, bruh. The rest is history. Shit. Now we got 18 kids dead, man. Damn, Hefe. Chill out. Show some respect, nigga. Yeah, bruh. That's how it's going down, man. This shit is crazy. This shit is crazy. Hey, I ain't putting my kid in no damn public school. Fuck that. Nah, they're gonna be at the crib. If anything go down, at least somebody gonna be there, right? And then they trying to pull the resource officers out of schools and shit. This shit is just ridiculous, bruh.
Henry, I see you have someone joining you right now.
I do, Audrey, and please bear with us because the wind, these gusts are certainly picking up. So I apologize if it's a little bit difficult. Oh my goodness. Oh my God, are you okay? Okay, I'm so sorry. Please bear with us, folks. Hopefully this wind will pass. I'm so sorry. So go ahead, and for everyone that's watching, why we're meeting today, because your niece, who is more like a daughter, attends Robb, and she's missing right now.
Correct. Yes. Her name is Ileana Torres. If anybody knows where her whereabouts, please contact my sister. Her number is 830-279-8358. Her name is Sandra Torres. We are in disbelief of this tragedy that happened, and we have not yet gotten any answers of where her whereabouts are at. And please, if anybody has any news on her, any hospitals that have any information on her, please reach out to us and let us know that she is at y'all's facility, and just praying for a safe return home.
So you came here to the hospital here to see if she was here, and how long were you here? And you said that process, the way that they were identifying was tough.
Yeah, it was tough. They would ask you for a picture, just a picture, this description of what they were wearing this morning, and it was hard. They did take my sister to the back to identify, thinking it was my niece, but it wasn't my niece.
So she's not at the Civic Center nowhere. Like,
No.
I mean, you have no idea?
We have no idea, and it's not like her. It's not like my niece not to reach out, because when she feels that she's threatened or scared, she's always calling on her cell phone. She'll blow up somebody until somebody answers her, and up to right now, to this minute, we have not gotten one phone call from her, and her phone is off.
What's going through your mind is you're trying to make sense to find where your niece, who's more like a daughter for you, who's 10 years old, who was at Robb this morning, and then making sense. We have 18 children died today. I mean, what's kind of going through your mind right now as you live in this town?
Well, it's 14 plus, because they're dying as, I guess, they're working on them. I'm just praying that my little one is okay. I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe that I want to tell myself that she's okay, and I'm going to keep telling myself that she's okay and she's going to come home.
Can you show us a picture of her real quick, so that way and you have her on her, and you said, we've been saying, if you can kind of zoom in there, Irissa, that this was the last week of school. She had a softball game today. She's a fourth grader. She was looking forward to school, ending.
She was very excited about her softball game today. She was kind of nervous. I talked to her last night, and she was kind of nervous, stating that it was her last game and she didn't want softball to end. And she was excited because they were gonna, I guess, announce the ones that made it to All Stars. And she was also saying, like, what if I make it? I'm gonna be so nervous. And I was like, girl, you got this. You're gonna be good at it. You got this. So she was excited about her game today.
And is that the last time you spoke with her as of right now?
It was the last time that I spoke to her was yesterday.
For people that are watching, and people all across that are watching, when they're hearing Uvalde and they're hearing the tragedy and the children and the lives lost, what do you want them to know about this town, and as we try to all kind of make sense of this with you all right now?
Well, all law enforcement is doing what they can and what's expected. and just for the safety and for everybody, and wanting everybody to hopefully they find their loved ones. That's all I can say. I hope they find their loved ones.
And for you, we hope the same. So where do we go next?
Next, well, we're headed out to the Civic Center
Keep looking.
where the waiting starts there as well.
Will you please keep us posted?
Sure.
Okay. Stay strong. Is there anything else you'd like to add? We appreciate your time.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Be safe. I mean, and that was kind of echoing, I mean, as you heard there live, the same what Vanessa Croy was saying is that a lot of family members, you know, showing up to Robb Elementary even there, still not being able to find their loved ones. And you have loved ones that are showing up here to the hospital, trying to see if they're here. And you heard that, I mean, this couple, talking about the fourth grader, their loved one, they've been here for hours. It's a process as loved ones are showing up, not knowing if their loved one is here at the hospital, if they're being treated, if they didn't make it. We know that that two people that arrived here didn't make it. I do know that one of those was a 10-year-old. And I mean, as you heard, it's tough. I mean, they're asking them questions. What were they wearing when they went to school today? Can you have a picture? Let's identify them. There's so many different stories out there, and it's tough hearing that because it's so much worry, and it's hard to even to wrap your head around that, to even get families like that, loved ones, to talk about the heartache and the pain and the unknown and the uncertainty. And every single one of these people out here have their own story. It's not just like the grandmother that I interviewed hours ago, who was fortunate enough that her 9-year-old grandson, who was a student there, was grazing the bullet. He was able to walk out, you know, which it is great. And I don't want to diminish that, but we also have to remember, folks, that there are a lot of people out there at this time that have either are mourning the loss of their loved one, or there's so much uncertainty that they still can't even find them at this hour. And here we are, the 6 o'clock hour. And so that, just to give you some context there, we'll send it back to you.
We wish that family the best, and we hope that they can locate their niece.
Yeah, a lot of heartbreaking uncertainty, heartbreaking mystery, unfortunately. And we have just learned that President Biden spoke with Governor Greg Abbott to give him any assistance that he needs.
Absolutely. And right now we want to go to Vanessa Croy, who is at Robb's Elementary School. She's been there all afternoon. Vanessa, any update from that scene?
Well, first of all, Audrey, that family that Henry was just talking to, that's a heartbreaking reality for many families out here. We've seen parents, other family members coming out here asking law enforcement on the scene, how do we find out where our children are? They had been everywhere else in town they could think of and returned here trying to find their children. I'll give you a look behind us, what's going on right now. We just saw FBI agents walk towards the front of the school. We don't know if the investigation has actually moved, the part of it has moved to the front of the school, but we have seen San Antonio Fire Chief Charles Hood escort some families in the front of the school. Can't imagine what they're facing when they enter those school doors today. And I talked to the sheriff on my way out here earlier today, and all he could tell me, couldn't even give me the details of what was unfolding inside. It was right after they somehow took down the suspect that he said, this is absolutely horrific. He said, our worst nightmare has come true. And I can tell you, Audrey and Deb as well, Sharon, excuse me, that, you know, as a former teacher, you do many lockdown drills. You do many of these drills a couple of times a year, but you never expect them to be real. And I can't imagine what those teachers were wondering today, the uncertainty of what was happening outside their classroom doors as they're inside trying to protect those kids and their care, and the children who are sitting in the classroom wondering what's happening outside the walls of their classroom. And now that we've learned that so many children and a teacher have died today, this community is really hurting out here. As I saw today when I first got here around 12:30, when I saw officers walking out of the school building, their faces, these are seasoned officers with tears coming from their eyes, leaving the tragedy inside that school building today. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Vanessa. Vanessa is live there at Robb Elementary School. She has been there for hours and has seen the terror, the panic from law enforcement officers. Again, this has been a
truly a community-wide effort. You have DPS, you have FBI, you have Uvalde Police, San Antonio Police, Bexar County Sheriff's Office, just an extreme law enforcement presence over there surrounding that area. Again, she had mentioned SAFD Chief Charles Hood was walking in there with community members and families who are truly going through this heartbreaking experience.
And right now we want to get on over to Alicia Nieves. She's at the Uvalde County Fairplex, where we are waiting to get another update from officials. Alicia.
We were relocated here, Audrey, from the Civic Center where we had been staged since about 2:30 today, and we are awaiting to see if there will be a press conference. We are all ready. All members, all journalists are here, and we hope to be briefed with some new information. You know,
where earlier today we saw people that their donations will likely be flipped and turned around in the next 24 hours to be able to send to the Uvalde response. Now, if we do have video real quick, we can show you of the helicopter that launched around 12:30 this afternoon and got to the Uvalde Memorial Hospital within about 45 minutes. So it's a very quick turnaround for them. I spoke with George Eisenhofer about why he's donating and why it was important for him that his blood could help in the response to this tragedy.
I was in the Army. When I was in the Army, they gave blood. We gave blood all the time. That was, Vietnam was going on, and we gave blood a lot. So, but for whatever it's used for. But no, I heard about that Uvalde shooting, and I'm not sure. I didn't hear any of the details on it, but if the blood's needed there, I'm fine with that.
If you want to donate as well, you can go to southtexasblood.org to sign up. And again, in Uvalde, there is going to be an emergency blood drive tomorrow morning from 9 to 1 a.m. And we'll have more details about that as well. Sharon and Audrey.
Thank you, Troy, and thank you to that kind donor who is donating blood at this moment. So we do want to just do a quick recap of what we know so far of the situation of the shooting. So this happened in Uvalde, which is 80 miles west of San Antonio. It happened at Robb Elementary School. Around 12:17, shots fired. It was an active shooter, and all campuses, including the elementary school, went on lockdown. We do know that Uvalde Memorial Hospital received some patients, about 13 students initially, and 2 who arrived were deceased when they received them. University Hospital here in San Antonio also taking care of 2 victims, a 66-year-old woman and a 10-year-old girl who are both in critical condition. We know that about 600 students, is that right, Audrey? 600 students were also we're at that elementary school. And right now you're taking a live look at the media conference that's supposed to be happening in a few minutes here. Alicia Nieves is live there. She had shared with us earlier that we are expecting a press conference from Uvalde Police. I would assume the district as well.
Yeah, we're hoping to find out more information. This community's hurting. They want more to you live and of course online on kens5.com, but a lot of unanswered questions that we're hoping possibly we could
and then the children who are in the hospital.
That
they
injured and who are fighting for their life this evening.
Yes, and then some parents, as we know, still looking for their children at this hour. Just heartbreaking that they don't know where they are. Hopefully they'll get word they're with another family. We certainly hope that's the case. All of this unfolding at Robb Elementary School today. And we are told an 18-year-old who is a resident of Uvalde walked into the school at 11:30 and just started shooting and killed 14 students. These students range from 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. And now we're going to go live to the police chief in Uvalde.
Good afternoon. I'm Anne-Marie Espinoza, Executive Director of Communications and Marketing for Uvalde CISD. Please understand, at this time, we come to you to share information. We will be providing a statement and not taking any questions, for the investigation is not complete. This is a tragic time in our district, and we greatly appreciate your patience and understanding. Here to provide a short statement and not take any questions is our Uvalde CISD Chief of Police, Pete Arredondo.
Oh, say less.
I don't see her. Switch.
Would you like for me to do this again? Let's do this again, Pete.
Sure.
I apologize. I did not realize we were not on, and you probably could not hear what I was saying. I am Anne Marie Espinoza, Executive Director of Communications and Marketing for Uvalde CISD. This is a tragic time in our district, so please know the investigation is not complete. We will only be sharing a statement with you, not providing questions. We greatly appreciate your patience and understanding. Here to share a statement and not take questions is our Uvalde CISD Chief of Police, Pete Arredondo.
Oh, say less.
Again, briefly, as of now, we're still working on this active investigation. Once we're able to provide information to the families, we will do so. First and foremost, obviously, our priorities is to get information to our families and give them some information. So please bear with us in regards to that. Secondly, once we do get some information that we can release to the public, we will be doing that. So please know once we do get some information, we will share that with you and call another press conference. Let me assure you, the intruder is deceased, and we are not actively looking for another individual or any other suspects in this case. We definitely ask you all to keep the families that are involved in your prayers. Thank you so much.
Here to provide a statement and not take any questions is our Superintendent, Dr. Hal Harrell.
Good evening. This was a tragic and senseless event today, and my heart was broke today. Our hearts and thoughts and prayers are with all our families as we go through this day and days to come. A few announcements that we need to make is beginning tomorrow at 10 a.m., we will have grief counseling and support at the Civic Center for our students, our staff, community members, anybody that needs to come at that time. And we may be there more than one day, may be there several days. Our Robb staff will meet at 8 a.m. at the Civic Center as well. We'll begin with visiting with them and seeing what those needs are. School will be closed. The school year's done. We'll have no school tomorrow or Thursday. All activities are canceled throughout the district. No graduation is on people's mind. We will come out with a notice on that at a later time. All the staff members they will report to their campuses, other than Robb campus, which will come to the Civic Center. Again, my heart was broken today. We're a small community, and we will need your prayers to get us through this. Thank you.
Again, this is a tragic event in our community. We are very sorry that we cannot provide you more information, but greatly appreciate your patience and understanding during this very difficult time. We ask that you pray for all of the families affected. Thank you, and be safe.
Okay, so we just heard a press conference. First, we heard from Uvalde UCISD Chief of Police. He didn't really give us too much information. We were hoping for more information on a motive or victims, but he didn't give us too much. But then we did hear from Dr. Hal Harrell, who is the superintendent of UCISD, and he did call this a tragic and senseless event. He said, starting tomorrow at 10 a.m., there will be grief counseling services at the Civic Center for students, teachers, staff, or anyone in the community who may need it. They also would like Robb staff, so that's the teachers and staff, to report there at 8 a.m. at the Civic Center. And as of now, the school year is over for UCISD.
Right. He said graduation will be rescheduled and all teachers are to report to their campuses, but students, the school year is over. And of course, there'll be grief counseling for everyone in the community and everyone there at the Civic Center, beginning with the Robb school staff. And the
We have asked to speak with Chief Hood. We are sort of waiting on trying to understand what his schedule is going to be like and what he's doing at the moment. But no, Deb, everybody seems to be outside the building at the moment, including some of the law enforcement officials who you might be able to see walking behind me at the moment, all sort of gathered talking to each other. There's not a dramatic sense of urgency at the moment, just sort of rehashing the events of today, I'm sure. Deb.
All right, Matt, thank you. And we do want to clarify 18 children killed, 3 adults. One of those adults, a teacher. One we think is the gunman's grandmother, the 18-year-old's grandmother, and the third is the gunman. Those 3 adults.
And we are still waiting for President Biden to speak on the tragedy in Uvalde. We're expecting him to speak any minute now, around 7:30. We're hoping to hear from him. But for now, I want to give you an update again from UCISD. They spoke a little bit earlier about the process, what's going to take place in the district in the next few days. So they said right now the school year is done for all of the students, and they are expecting grief counselors at 10 a.m. tomorrow at the Civic Center. But we also want to go out to Henry Ramos, who has been at Uvalde Memorial Hospital for the last few hours. Henry, anything new on those injured?
Yeah, Audrey and Deborah,
We can try
not
and
so
maybe
much. I've been reaching out to the hospital and I haven't heard anything yet. The only thing that which we do know that we have been reporting is the 13 children that have been brought here. I can tell you things are a lot quieter here at the hospital than what we've seen since I've been out here since after 2:30 this afternoon. We actually don't see law enforcement presence on this side. We had some family members that were parked across the street, which is where we're located. Some have been arriving, but really there's not many left here in the parking lot. But of course, throughout the afternoon, we talked to people who have been arriving, and it's just been a tell of different stories with them.
All right, guys. That's a lot to take in. Again, guys, if you were not aware of maybe why exactly he, or maybe some motive behind it, I think legitimately he might have been trying to impress this girl right here on IG, a girl he didn't even know. Okay. Girl he didn't even know. All right. The emo chick. And, you know, as you can see, he DM'd her. She said, hey, or he says, hey, you going to repost my gun pics? She said, what? And guys, if you didn't see the gun pics, I'm going to show you guys the gun pics. So this is what he posted on his IG 4 days ago and tagged her in it. I mean, we pretty much know what there is needed to be known. So far, he's killed 18 kids, 1 teacher, and his grandma. He is deceased. He was killed by the police because he kept going, not because he was a burrito gremlin. It was because he kept trying to air out, as he put it. But he asked her if she was gonna repost his gun pic. She says, what? He question marks that. She says, what your gun pics got to do with me? He said, just wanted to tag you. She said, I'm confused. She says, but why? He said, be grateful I tagged you. She said, no, it's just scary, for real. He said, how? She says, I barely know you and you tagged me in a picture with some guns. She said, he says, I guess. Hey, she says, hello. He says, I'm about to. And then she explains he's a stranger, tagged her in gun pics. He said, I'm about to. She said, what? About to what? Good morning. He said, I'll tell you before 11. Good morning. Good morning. What? I'll text you in an hour. Okay. But you have to respond. I got a little secret I want to tell you. She said, I might be taking a nap because I'm really sick, but if I'm awake, I will. He says, bet. She says, bet. He says, I'm going to air out. And then that's when he went to the elementary school and did what he did. She said, what? Hi. So then you got other chicks hitting her up about it. But he did this to, I guess, impress a girl that he doesn't even know. This is how bad the simp behavior has gotten. Okay. This is incel activity. over anything. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Summed it all up. We're gonna end the stream, guys. It's a lot going on. I also have a premiering soon, so make sure you guys like, comment, share the video. I think this is the most comprehensive breakdown of this situation because nobody else is mentioning the fact that he actually tagged some chick in the guns. Okay, so you already know what it is, man. Make sure you hit that super trap. Make sure you hit that PayPal. Make sure you hit that Cash App. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we're going to send it to Jinquavius to take us away.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Medgar Evers, and it's a very tranquil scene compared to just a couple hours ago where a drive-by shooting just took place. Excuse me. I'm getting live updates as we speak. I've just been updated to the amount of casualties from this drive-by shooting, and I'm getting reports that 2 people were actually declared deceased and 27 others were shot and injured but are in stable condition. And although we must pray for the families of the fallen, we must also praise God for the aim of the super gremlin. If you want to know more about the victims of this crime, make sure you add BGZM News 17 on Patreon at www.patreon.com/blackgenzmindset. Also, don't forget to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment on the video to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this gun violence in the streets. For more hard-hitting news coverage from the community, by the community, I'm Jinquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
And cut.
All right, dog. Let's get the out of here before these niggas come back.
Whoa. Yo! Ain't that nigga Jay?
Nah, that ain't me. That ain't me.
He just went live
That
with
ain't
that
me.
funky ass suit on.
That's that nigga. That's not me.
Hey, get that nigga.
Jinquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia. Pray for me.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school,